It says it's live. Can anyone check if it's live? Guys, are we live on YouTube? Let me know if you can hear me on YouTube. I'm not sure if there was a bug right there, but now it seems to be live. Let's just double check that real quick. I didn't get the YouTube notification I usually do. Oh, that's weird. I think we're live now. There you go. Yeah, we're live now. Gabriel, Chiro, what's up, guys? What's up? Yeah, sorry, we were having a little of technical difficulties today. But it should be working right now. It seems like it got like stuck or something on loading. But hello, my friends. Welcome back to another live stream, the second live stream here on the year. And yeah, let's go directly with what we're gonna be working on today. There you go. We got the Ratavagata, we got the Juvoy art. Ratavagata, by the way, that's a great name. it just rolls off the tongue very nicely. Julia Alder, Juan Guerra, Darko Vision, Onoxta 6166. What's up, guys? Hello. Okay, so first of all, how are you guys? I hope you guys are having a great time. It was a good week. What did I do? This was actually it was a very heavy week. Had a lot of meetings, a lot of like planning, a lot of stuff, and actually because of that, that's what we're gonna be working on today a little bit. There's a thing I'm preparing for one of my university classes, and that you guys are going to be helping me. Because I need to finish the asset, and I'm going to show this, of course, to my students, and we're going to be working with that. Chiro Jules says, yesterday was my birthday, so I'm very happy. Congratulations. Happy birthday, Chiro. I hope you have a great time with your friends, with your family. Hopefully you enjoyed everything. Yeah. Congratulations there, my friend. Okay, let me see. Is it a real world skill? No, it's not a real world skill. Okay, so let me go to ZBrush then. Ratapagata sounds like a magic spell. Yeah, definitely, right? Definitely. Let's see. Supakos. What's up, my friend? Okay, let's go to the mainstream. Six Square says, you have so good energy. I like it. Hey, life is tough by itself, right? So best thing we can do is try to be as positive as possible, even when things are not going specifically our way. So anything that we can do, it's a good what's the word? It's a good excuse to create like good moments for everyone. Ivanikus, what's up, my friend? Give me 1 second here, guys. Let me just look for the actual tool. Here. The thing is, I don't remember if the tool that we're going to be using today already has UVs. Otherwise, we're going to just give it UVs, right? Just give it a couple of UVs here. There we go. I do believe we had UVs. Oh, we don't have UVs. Oh, well, you guys are going to learn UVs really quickly then. Let me check if this guys have UVs. They kind of look like some of them do. Okay. So, excited for texturing. Yeah, it's going to be fun. So, this is a very cool exercise that I've been working on. Let's see. Eliseo's 99. Dude, that's a great question. I've answered that one before, but that's a great question. So he's making a very, very valid question. He says, how is the job market for what you do? I'm not trying to get you in a gotcha. Just wondering why a man of your skills is not there making games. Technically, I am, but not at the scale that people are normally thinking of, right? So I've mentioned this before. I have three main sources of income for my skills. One of them is what we're going to be doing today, which is I'm going to be preparing material for some of the classes that I teach at the university. So I'm a teacher at a university, and I do that kind of stuff. The other one is, of course, the courses, the content here on YouTube, the stuff that we do for socials, all of the outsource stuff and freelance stuff that I do, and that's another big part of my income. And the third part of my income is the the museum. So if you are not aware, I have a small studio, and in that small studio we create small like VR experiences for museums. They're small games. They're like 6-7 minute like experiences. You go in, you play, you interact with the activities a little bit, and then, well, that's pretty much it. So that's the kind of stuff that I do. That's the kind of focus that I have. That's the kind of like a life that I've chosen for me for now. Maybe in the future I want to go and do like bigger or more renowned like elements. But right now that's that's the focus that I'm working on. I really enjoy being a teacher. I know that sounds very weird. Like most people when they go to university, they're not thinking about becoming teachers as part of their personal sort of like a progression in life. But I really enjoy it. So that's one of the things that I decided to do. Right, like I decided to focus on the teaching aspect of things, and I do consider myself to be a really good teacher. Hopefully, if you've seen some of my stuff before, or if you've seen some of my courses, you agree. And one advice that I got when I was younger is that you should always try to go for the things that you're really good at, because that's the way you're going to be able to shine a little bit more. Not saying that I'm not a good artist. I do consider myself to be a very good artist. I do get a lot of like freelance work every now and then, a lot of mentorships as well. So I think I contribute to this again, to this amazing industry in my own way and through my own means, right? You might not see my names on some of these like big brands or big games, but hopefully with all of the information that we're sharing here in the channel, we're making the art world a little bit better. So yeah, that's the what's the word? That's my answer to that question, which again, it's a very valid one. Let's see. Mirmilan says, "Hey Abe, I started getting into ZBrush this year and I watched all of your tutorials already. Very helpful stuff." That's great to hear. Yeah, that's the kind of messages that make my day a little bit better. So I'm gonna go here to C plugin. I'm gonna go FBX export import, and I'm gonna export all. Then I don't need to embed the maps, and I'm just gonna export. They should be on the low subdivision level. It seems like they are, so I'm just gonna hit export here, and I'm gonna go over here. Why can I not move that thing right there? Not sure. Let's go to the desktop demo head, and this one's gonna be called low poly female. There we go. Thomas says, "Hey Abe, do you know when the next portfolio review is gonna happen?" Yes, it's gonna be at the end of the month. So let me check the calendar real quick. That is going to be on the January 30. So literally the end of the month, and we're gonna be having the submissions usually open at the last time of the whole thing, right? So or at the last week of the month. So just stay tuned and check the Discord channel for when the little post opens, and that way you're gonna be able to submit. So this one's gonna be called female high. Eyeball and earrings. This is very important that we call them high as well. Eyeballs. Solid Mango is asking, are those the flip normal eyes kit? Yes, they are. So for those of you that are unaware of the of this kit, it's a very famous kit. If you look, flip normal's eye kit, they sell this one, and it's usually on a discount or an offer. It's really good. Really freaking good. I have a tutorial on how to make eyes. You can also check it on YouTube, which follows very similar processes or principles that the ones that they're using. But this one right here, especially if you're doing like portfolio pieces and things like that, it's great. I was talking about this with one of my students yesterday. And I was mentioning that usually in studios, when you're working on a project, you're going to have a lot of tools available to you. They're going to give you eye kits, they're going to give you base meshes, they're going to give you brushes. And the reason why they do this is because they want every single character to look the same in those specific or very sort of like simple elements. So using it's good that you know how to make an eye from scratch. Like, it's always a good skill to have, right? But if you can, what's the word? If you can get one of these kits, it's also a good option. Let's see. I thought ZBrush is more better than this software for sculpting. Yeah, we're not gonna be sculpting. We're gonna be texturing. We're gonna be texturing today. So this right here is the high poly of the character. I actually did not decimate. Normally I would decimate, but in this particular case, I think we can avoid any decimation. And we have pretty much three pieces. We have the eye kit, which again, we're really not gonna be using. I like to keep it because it looks fine. But we're not really going to be using it too much. Let's rename this to Eyeball High. We have the bust of the character, and we have some earrings that I did as well. This one's right here, a little bit of an interesting design there, a little bit of like arcane magical design. So she's going to be like a witch, right? She's going to be like an evil character. Hopefully you can see a little bit of that evilness coming through on some of the forms that we decided to include in this character. Let's bring in the low poly. There we go. There we go. So let's just rename this to female underscore low. This one's going to be eyeball underscore low. And this one's going to be earrings underscore low. Now, this is the first issue everyone makes when they're trying to do bakes and their bakes are not working. They grab their low poly, and because they want to see it bigger here inside of Maya to work with UVs or whatever, they make it bigger. I'm actually gonna like center the pivot point, and they make their low poly bigger. If you do this and you do not scale your high poly, which as you can see right now, it's right here, super small in the middle of my character, then the information from the high poly is not going to be baked into the low poly. So it's very important that if you're here, for instance, inside of Maya and you want to change the scale of your object for the baking process or for the texturing process, you scale both. Super important, you scale both. Usually a head is around like 30 centimeters big, so I'm gonna grab a cube here. I'm gonna set the scale to 30, or actually let's do like 25. There we go. And I'm gonna use that as a little bit of a reference to just like scale everything. So I'm gonna grab all of my elements, again, high polys and low polys, and I'm gonna scale them so they are roughly the same size as the cube right there. So something like that. Perfect. And I am gonna push this thing up, so it's gonna be above the ground. I do recommend that, because there are certain like generators inside of Substance where we might be using, again, like the information from how high or how low something is. Let's see. Could it be beneficial to keep projects such as fan art on your portfolio as it's showcasing and understanding? Yeah, our fan arts are fine. I've mentioned this before. Fan arts are really good because they will give you a really I did this, guys. Yeah, like that. They will give you a lot of clicks. Like, people like seeing their favorite like characters and their favorite elements on their feeds, right? But you gotta make sure that you do a really good job, because there's a lot of very bad like fan art, right? Goloto says, yo, profe, I've just got a new tablet with a shortcut control for ZBrush. What hotkeys would you put in? So I don't have my little thing right here, the Huion key dial, but I usually have Control Shift, Control C, for instance, Alt, Tab, Control F for wireframe, Control W to create groups. I think that's it. I think those are the ones that I normally use. To be honest, since I record quite a bit, I have like stop recording, start recording, stop streaming, start streaming on the little tablet as well. Let's see. Is it better for a character artist to specialize in either stylized or realistic work, or is it acceptable to showcase both styles in a single portfolio? That's one of the questions that's really interesting, my friend, because everyone has a different like experience. For me, in my personal experience, having a little bit of everything has been like really helpful, because I can help in multiple different like pipelines. But I've had some people that say that they prefer having just one particular style. My advice is, if you don't mind, like, again, trying different styles, trying different studios, games, and things like that, then having a little bit of everything is going to be good for you, because you're going to have a lot of range, but you're not going to be super specialized, right? If you really want to work, let's say, on Larian, or if you really want to work on, let's say, Riot, or if you really want to work, let's say, on Naughty Dog, then you really need to nail the specific style that they're using at that studio, because you're not going to be hired, for instance, at Riot and asked to be doing a AAA character similar to Kratos from a God of War, right? Like that's just not going to happen, because that's not their style. So you're just wasting time and wasting resources in learning something that's not what it's going to be asked from you once you're actually working. If you're in a third world country like myself, and there's a, well, actually, is Mexico considered a third world country? I mean, because of a lot of things, especially our freaking like drug issues, I would definitely consider it one, but I'm not sure if we're considered a third world country. Anyway, the point is, if you're in a country where the industry is not as developed, then I do believe having a wider range of like skills is better than specializing, because it's easier to, again, like find multiple opportunities by doing that. Have you tried Fred Taylor stylized generator for SP? Seems pretty good to speed up the base color process of texturing. Fred Taylor? I've not seen that one. I have a couple of tools that I use. Fred Taylor, Substance Painter, Generator. Let's take a look. See, I have not tried this one, but I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm not getting a good vibe by the results that I'm seeing right here. It looks a little bit too messy. I've seen this example before. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not getting like super good vibes by the models right there. I'm not saying that the generator can't work. It's just that the examples that I'm seeing right here might not be the best ones. I've used others. Maybe I'll show them like later. It's just like, it's nothing that you cannot do manually. It's just gonna save you a little bit of time, right, on the process. Mexico is considered a developing country, which I guess is like a second world country. Yeah, that's fair. Second world country. Anyway, like if the industry is not as developed in your country of origin and it's difficult for you to migrate or move into a different country, then having wider range of skills is probably going to be better, because you're going to be able to adapt that range, you're going to be able to adapt that wide range of skills into different types of projects: advertisement, architectural rendering, game like production for like small games and things like that. Like there's things where you can like input that or use those skills to generate something cool, and again, you're gonna have a little bit more range. How can I become a game director in the future, Ave? Because I'm really passionate about it. I'm a material artist, and I also break down all the games I play and create a document out of it. That's a great question. I'm gonna give you, and this is something very interesting. Like I'm gonna give you both a quote that I read one time and an advice that I got one time, and my own personal experience. When I realized that I wanted to be a teacher, right? Like that I really enjoyed teaching and like researching, learning, and then like abstracting that information and explaining it in cool ways, preparing exercises like that, all that kind of stuff. When I realized that that's one of the things that I like doing, I just started doing it. And I remember, because I started teaching like very early on my career, like way earlier than people might think, like, oh no, you should not be teaching at this point because you're not like experienced enough. I didn't care. I was like, fuck it. I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna start teaching. I started teaching back in 2014. That was like the first time I had like my first, I believe, formal class. And at that point, I only had like 2 years or 3 years of 3D experience, because I started in 2011. So by like traditional standards, I was like not ready to be teaching, right? But I taught, and a lot of my students that I taught back then are still working in the industry. They're still like doing amazing things, and the skills that I taught them at back then were like good enough to get them started on their journey. Did I had all of the information back then? Of course not. Was I the best teacher back there? Of course not. I'm not even the best teacher right now. But as you get better and better, you learn more and more stuff, and you become really, really good at what you do, right? So you need to start doing it. You're asking me, how can I be a game director? Start directing games. Go and ask a couple of your friends, hey, do you like doing music? Yes. Do you like doing art, like 2D art? Yes. Do you like doing, I don't know, programming? Yes. We're gonna go together for one full weekend. We're gonna do our own like art jam, and I'm gonna be your director. I'm gonna be helping with maybe like the material creation, as you mentioned, and let's do something simple, something as simple as freaking Flappy Bird, right? But that way you're gonna have something that shows that you know how to manage a team, because a game director is not only someone that has the vision and the artistic like ideas or the general like vibes that you want the game to be. You're also in charge of directing the people and making sure you get the best possible work out of them. And again, this is an advice that was given, I believe, by Guillermo del Toro, which is he was asked, I want to be a movie director, what should I do? He's like, grab your freaking phone, go out there and start filming stuff, create like little shorts, create a little story, create a documentary, create your own little movie. It's gonna look like shit, it's gonna be horrible the first couple of times, but the only way you get better at something is by doing it. A lot of people think that there's this like secret formula to be good at something or to be proficient at something. There is not. Most of the times, just like patient work, determination, and just doing the specific skill is more than enough to get you like really, really, really far ahead. Once you have a good like understanding of the general principles, of the basic principles, that's when you start specializing. That's when you start looking for mentors. That's when you go and study at a school or at a like a specific like certificate or whatever. Like, of course there are things that eventually you're gonna have to do that are a little bit more advanced, but don't be scared to just do the first step. Take the first step and start working on that particular goal that you have in mind. Do you want to be, again, like a game creator? Do one simple game. As simple as you can think, even if it's buggy as hell, even if it doesn't work or it crashes, that's fine. But now at least you've done it once, and then the second time that you do it, it's going to be better. And by the 10th game that you do, you're going to have so much more experience, right? Here's another example, and this is something that Brandon Sanderson says. You guys know I'm a huge fan of him. He said that he wrote, I believe, like 10 novels, 10 like full books before he was picked by a publisher to publish his first book. And what happened there, very interesting, because he had done around 10 books before that, 10 books that never saw the light of day. The 11th book, which is technically his first published work, was so good, right? Like, it was really, really good because he had all of the other information or all of the other background ready for him. A similar thing happened to me because, as I mentioned, I started teaching in 2014, but the first tutorial that I did, like the first online tutorial that got me a little bit of exposure to the social networks and everything, was in 2018, so 4 years later. So I already had experience teaching by the time I got like approached by someone who wanted me to produce a tutorial. And then I did like 15 different tutorials for another person or another like company, and I started this like a program or this like a project right here, of course, with David and now with Alan. So it's all gradual, like increasing of like just hard work, patience, all of this like skills that you keep gathering. And of course, as the motto says, right, always learning, always improving. You're not gonna stop like learning all of these things, okay? So yeah, there we go. We're gonna do the UVs right now, Faisan. We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that right here. So yeah, I'm gonna go here to the female low, and the UVs for a head are very, very simple. A lot of people tend to like struggle quite a bit with the UVs for a head, and they're way simpler than you guys might think. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go UV. I'm gonna do just a camera-based projection to have something to start with. And once I have this, I'm gonna go UV, 3D cut, and so UV tool. The head needs, I would say, like 5 main cuts. The first cut is on the neck, usually on an area that's not gonna be as visible. So for instance, I personally like going here underneath the jaw because that's an area that, again, you're not gonna see as much. The chest, you wanna cut it like a shirt. So you're gonna have one cut on one side right here, and one cut on the other side. Quick tip, if you're working inside of Maya, you can turn on symmetry for your UV cuts, and that's gonna make it a lot easier because you're gonna be able to cut, again, the front side of the character and the back side of the character. Then we are gonna cut the inside of the eyes. So roughly around here, I'm gonna cut the inside of the eyes. Why? Because otherwise we get a little bit too much distortion. Same for the mouth. If you have a mouth back, which I have right here, we do need to cut the mouth back out from the main forms. So we're gonna go to somewhere like right around there. Ideally, you want to have a point, like that one's not the best one, so I'm going to go a couple of lines in. There we go. So you want to have a line that's not as visible on the actual like low poly. So that one right there is perfectly fine. Personally, I do like to cut the back of the mouth in halves. So I'm going to go here to cut it in half. That way we're going to have the top of the mouth or the roof of the mouth and the bottom part of the mouth. That's pretty much it. Then I do like to cut the ears. Ears are very important to separate from the main character. Usually there's going to be a loop like that one right there that's going to go like roughly around the ears, as you can see there. It's going to separate them, and the ears can get a lot of distortion. So I personally like to add one line that goes from here to there, so like help with the distortion. Yes, we're going to have a seam line right there, but again, it's an area that's usually like hidden enough that we shouldn't be worrying too much about it. Other than that, should be fine. Some people like to cut the nostrils out of the nose. If you feel like they're distorting a little bit too much, this might be a good option. Just be careful about that thing that you just saw there. That's a spiral. You gotta be careful about those because it can be a little bit problematic, especially like that line right there. So in this particular case, I don't think we need to cut the inside of the nose. And finally, my favorite seam, I call this the luchador seam. If you've ever seen like a Mexican luchador mask, they usually have an opening here through the back, and it goes roughly, well, those go a little bit like lower back, but we are gonna go roughly to the point where the hairline starts. So right around there, maybe a little bit less. Let's do something like that. That's it. Those are all of the cuts that we need for a human face. Now we of course grab the face, we go to the UV editor, and we're just gonna say Control U to unfold this whole thing, Control L, and there we go. I see we have a little bit of an issue here, so I'm just gonna grab that line that we forgot, UV, cut UV edges, and unfold again. Fold again. Let's take a look here. It seems like we missed something here. So I'm gonna grab that line, that line, that line, that line, that line, that line. Again, UV, cut UV edges, Control U. There we go, much better. Perfect. Now let's do a little bit of like sorting right here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna rotate. Like I already know that these are pretty much at the proper scale, like the deformation that we're gonna get for textile densities and everything is fine. Like if we take a look at the islands right now and we check the textile density, you're gonna see that with a 4K map we're gonna get 57 textile density. That's great. That's amazing for a face. So that's great. I'm just gonna move this thing right here, make it a little bit bigger. Let's see if we can fit the head a little bit more here on the top part. And as you can see, we're gonna be getting roughly like a 2K map like resolution for the head, right? So again, that's quite nice. Ideally, you want most of your islands to be facing the same direction. That's gonna make it a lot easier for us to prepare everything. And Maya does like it does a good job in making sure that things are where they're supposed to be. Here's a little trick though. Since the face is the piece that we want to have the most resolution, it is possible, not always advisable, but it is possible to scale things just a little bit lower. Like as long as we're not doing like an extreme change on the resolution of something, if we need to scale things just a little bit to make them fit a little bit better on the UV island, that's fine. So for instance, here I'm gonna rotate. This is the back of the character, so I'm gonna rotate it a little bit, and that's it. Like it's gonna be more than enough. What is this? I'm gonna turn off symmetry. This seems to be the eye, so if that's the back of the eye, I'm just gonna like scale them so they're again like similar in size. And now it's just a matter of placing these things here. Let's go for the ears as well. Make sure that they're like really similar in size. Find the place for them, like right around there. And that's it. This is more than enough for a simple character here on our scene. Any questions with the UVs? Let's see. Any quick tip to calculate resolution for each material of the UVs? The one that I just showed you. Like if you use the what's the word? If you use the textile density tool inside of Maya, you're gonna be able to see the average of the textile densities and you're gonna be fine. I'm gonna keep the earrings out. I don't. Well, the thing is, I don't remember if I had UVs for these earrings. No, I don't. Oh man, you guys, should we do the UVs for the earrings? You want to see how to do UVs for a little bit of a complex shape like this one? It's not super difficult, but it's just gonna take us a couple more minutes. You guys want to see the process, or should we just jump into the skin? Do I know Rhizome UV? Of course I know Rhizome UV. I have Rhizome UV. It's just that I don't use it for simple things as much. Yeah, let's do it. Okay. How do you deal with nose distortion for heads with big noses, for example? You usually cut the nose, like for like a dwarf. I believe in the door. What's the door? In the door course, in the substance painter course, this one right here, the UVs for the character are split because he's got like this huge nose, right? So yeah, for big noses, I split the nose as a different element. Okay, so let's do the UVs for the earrings. So of course, as you can see, the earrings are mirrored. So one thing I can do is just go face mode and delete all of the faces to make my life a little bit easier. And as I mentioned before, one of the things that I do recommend is using a UV checker, especially for something like this. We can actually use it for the character as well. I really like this one, the rainbow one, and I'm going to download the 4K map. There we go. Let's quickly go here inside of Maya. Let me grab all of the low polys here. I'm going to assign a new material, Lambert, and on the color, we're going to assign the UV map color. Here. If we take a look at the material now, this is what we get. And as you can see, we do have a little bit of distortion on the nose, but it's barely noticeable, so we're not gonna have any issues. Very important here with the UVs. This is one of the things that you do need to check. We've mentioned this before. It's important that the letters on the UVs are right. This is why I love using these UV checkers, because they tell you whether or not things are aligned properly. As you can see, yes, the back is a little bit skewed. Not the worst thing right now, and it helps to keep the resolution where we need it. But everything else, right, like the ears, the head, the mouth, the neck, all of them are like properly aligned, so that's what we want. Now let's grab this guy again, the low poly here. Let's isolate it, and let's do this right here. And this is what we're going to do. So what I'm going to start with is I'm just going to say UV, and I always start with the camera-based projection. The camera-based projection is great because it allows me to just get like a clean slate to start working on the different pieces, right? I'm going to turn on this button. I love using this button. This is a very like underrated button, I would say, inside of Maya. It's called Use Default Material. So especially when you're working with a lot of textures and materials, it can get a little bit busy and difficult to see. That one will always get you back to the basic like material of Maya, in this case the gray material. So it's a great way to isolate all of that like visual noise and just focus on what we're doing, which is like UVs right now. So as you can see, this thing has some bevels right there. So I'm just going to go UV, 3D cut, and I'm going to go through those bevels. I'm gonna go on that one right there. It already did the other side, and that's pretty much it. So that piece right there, we're gonna have the like round section right here, and then the flat section on the inside. Do I have a custom UI on Maya? No, I don't. I actually don't use custom UIs as much, only on ZBrush. Now, toruses. If you have a torus, the best way to cut the torus is cut one line, usually a hidden line, and then cut one line on the inside of the torus, like this one right there. That's it. So it's across the ring and on the inside of the ring. This guy right here, this is a cylinder. Cylinders uses the mantra that I always mention, which is cap, the cap of one cylinder, and then you go to the cap of the other cylinder, the other cap of the cylinder, and then one line across. That's it. That's the cylinder right there. Spheres are very similar to cylinders, so I'm gonna go to one of the like lines right there. Let's do that one. That's fine. And then let's do this one right here, and again across. Right there we go. So as you can see, this like a little piece that I did right here, this like earring, it's made out of a lot of like very simple meshes. It's nothing complicated, so the UV process shouldn't be difficult. It's just gonna be a little bit time consuming. Another sort of like cylinder here, so again cap, and then we go to the other cap, and then across the whole section like that. Now, one thing I want you to know, this is I'm trying to keep this line, this center line, all in the same place, because this is the inside of the earring, so that's the part that we're gonna be seeing the least. Okay, that UV map color called Ave Leal favorite, do you know, right? No, hopefully, like that would be pretty cool if they did that on the side, right? Natrix says, hi Ave, I've learned Substance Painter from tutorials, but when I try to texture on my own, I get confused about where to start and how to approach it. Could you guide me on what I should focus on? We're going to be looking at that right now. We're going to be jumping into texturing in just a second, but if you haven't checked the Substance Painter course that I have, I think that's going to give you like a lot of tools, because one thing, again, that I've developed as a teacher throughout the years is that I don't like to teach a step-by-step thing. Of course, I teach the steps, but I like to always explain the why we do the things, right? I hate when I'm watching a tutorial for when I'm learning something new and they don't explain the why they do that. They just tell you, oh, just click here, do this, do that, and boom, you got the results. Like, yeah, sure, cool, that's awesome, but why? Why are we doing that, right? So I always like to explain the reasoning behind it, so that when you get faced with your own decisions and you can like make your own stuff, it's a lot easier to do. So this is a spiral. I'm just gonna grab the caps of the spiral right here. Again, very similar process to what we just did. And I believe we have some hidden caps here on the inside. Yes, there we go. Look at this. This is important. When you're doing UVs, if you delete the faces of an area, those are going to give you automatic, automatic cuts. So in this case, that's what I'm doing right there. Then we have this is like a torus. So again, I'm going to cut in the inside, probably down here. And that's pretty much it. Like that, since that's very flat, that's probably what I'm going to do right there. And then we have this sphere. Let's see if I can hit one of the edges of the sphere right there. Then the other edge right here. Again, one line across. Something like that. There we go. And then we have all of this like little like lines going across the sphere. So for those, that's going to be a little bit more, it's not complicated, but I'm going to isolate them. Something that not a lot of people know is if you select faces on an object here inside of Maya, and you click the isolate select option that I use a lot, which is this one right here, you're going to isolate just the faces, which is a great way to work on this areas, for instance. So similar process, I'm going to go and just cut one line on the inside of every one of these like toruses. These are just toruses, but they're like low poly toruses, right? So I'm going to cut the line across all of the inside of the toruses. And once I do that, I'm just going to start cutting a line across one of the like intersections like this. This one doesn't really matter where it is because it's such a small line, so it's going to be barely visible, but that's it. So if we've done everything correctly, we should now have the UVs for all of this thing. So I'm going to go UV editor, grab this whole thing, Control U to unfold them. We should not have any sort of like weird islands. So here's my first check. I check, for instance, there we go. That island and that island right there. Do you guys see this one and this one? We have a little bit of an issue, right? Like it's looking a little bit weird, like it's going into itself. That tells me, hey, you need to fix that. So let's take a look at where that one is. Let's grab those. Oh, it's this one. Yeah. So I forgot on this one. I forgot to do the line that goes along the whole edge. So that line right there, and that line right there. There we go. So again, we grab those, and if I say Control U again, boom. Now we're gonna get the size that we need. And now I'm gonna grab everything. I'm just gonna press Control L. Control L is gonna lay everything out, and as you can see, everything is laid out vertically. And if we take a look at the UV map, and we take a look at this one right here, look at how beautiful this is gonna look. There we go. Great, right? So a little bit of distortion on a couple of pieces, but it's such a small prop that it really doesn't matter that much. We can always fix this with a little bit of triplanar projection, and as long as we have most of the stuff going in the direction that they need to be going, then this process is gonna be perfectly fine. Any questions so far? Let's see. How to decide when to jump from primary to secondary and then tertiary? When it's ready. When it's ready, or when you run out of time and you need to move to the next stage. That's pretty much the way to do it. It's called this female head underscore high. And all of this, it's going to be called female head underscore low. Now, this is a good question. A lot of people are going to be like, hey, should we have a material, or should we join the UVs of the head and the little like earring? Like, should they live on the same UV map? And the answer is yes and no. It depends, right? Like, it depends on what you're doing. In this particular case, because this material is going to have subsurface scattering and this one's not going to have it, I want to keep it simple, and I'm going to keep materials separate. So this is the next stage right here. I'm going to grab this female low. I'm going to right click. I'm going to assign a new material. I'm going to call this a Blinn or a Lambert. I'm going to call this M skin. And I'm going to do the same with this one. This one, of course, I need to mirror this. So I'm going to mirror X negative on the world. Hit apply. So we have both rings. This is another important question. Do we keep the UVs the same for both of them? And the answer is usually yes, unless you want to have a specific things happening on one side than on the other. Then in that case, what I need to do is I need to go to my UV editor again, grab all of the shells and do another layout. So now we have all of the islands in this case repeated, right? Like we see them 2 times. We're not going to be losing too much resolution, and in this case I think it's going to be a good decision. So I'm going to assign a new material, and this is going to be a Maya Lambert material as well. I'm going to call this M earrings. There we go. So that's it. So I'm going to grab all of these things right here. Do we have eyeballs? Yeah, we have eyeballs, right? So eyeballs, they should have their own material as well. Ideally, you do want to change the name. So I'm going to call this M eyes. We're not going to be texturing eyes today, but that's it. So I'm going to grab this file, export selection. Let's go to the demo head, and let's call this low poly female. There we go. Hit yes. Do UV results need to be straightened? Some of them should be straightened. Like if you have like a belt, or if you have like a rope or something like that, then yes, having straight UVs is going to be better. But again, since this is just like gold metal, I don't think we really need to straighten that many things. And then I'm going to grab this whole thing, file, export selection, and it's going to be that one right there. Thank you for the sub, my friend. Hassan, thank you, my friend. What's the easiest way to straighten and relax UVs, especially like edges on clothing or UVs that wrap around? Let me show you. So I'm not going to do it on all of them, but I'm going to show you a very quick tip. This one. Let me duplicate them. Let's go UV, UV editor. So as you can see, if your mesh is quite straight, you're going to get like a very nice like result. If you have something like this, right, like has a little bit of like wobbliness, you can just grab this. Go here to the options, and there's this on the unfold options, there's the straightened UV option. So as long as it's really close to a grid-like structure, when you hit straightened UVs, you're gonna get the result that you want. That's it. Like it just cleans the whole UVs, and it does a great job. But if you have something like this, right, like it's a little bit more intense, and you try doing the straightened UVs, you might have an issue where, as you can see, some of the islands are just like getting like completely broken, right? So what I recommend doing on this one is grab one edge, that edge right there, and then click this button that says straighten shell. That's going to straighten the shell. It's going to try to keep it as straight as possible. And once it's on this position, now you can try the straighten UVs, and it should give you a little bit of a better result. Sometimes you can try doing that on the outside edge. So like if I grab that edge right there and go all the way here, we can try straighten shell. There you go. See how that like gave us a little bit of a better result. And then you tried straightening it manually a little bit and try straighten UVs again. And again, it's a little bit of trial and error, right? But that's the way that I would approach something like this. There are better tools, there are better plugins for that, like straining and stuff. I usually try to keep it like very, very simple. Will the live still be available on YouTube? Yes, this live is going to be available. The only one that we change or we move to the other channel is the portfolio reviews to give everyone a little bit more exposure there. Yes, DK, if I missed your question, just send it again. Just send it again. Okay. So we should be good here. Let's jump into Substance. And let's see if things bake properly. Let's see if things bake properly. Let's take a look. What the hell? Okay. Okay. Let's take a look. Is there any limits it's creating scenes for games, and why didn't you use autopack? Dude, no, Sosumil, you never use autopack, man. Like, autopack is gonna make a mess. I can show you. Like, I can very quickly show you how different it is to do like an autopacking or to do a auto. Do you mean autopacking or auto UV? Because auto UV is like just the worst. If I go here and I say UV and I do an automatic mapping, this is what I'm gonna get. And this is the problem with auto UV. Look at that. First of all, it's very difficult to really see what's going on. We have a lot of UV seams that are going to be very visible on the game. We see a lot of like very small little islands that are just going to be a pain to find and to properly unfold. And like this is a very, very bad UV. A lot of people think that that this is one of those things that is very useful. For some assets it might be, but especially for characters, you do not want to use auto UV mapping or auto packing, because even if I grab this and I try to pack it with like Control L, look at that, I'm even getting like errors for non-manifold geometry. So it's a mess. Your UVs should be a very, very clean what's the word, where is it? Let me go back. Your UV should be a very, very clean like show of your character with as little seams as possible and as easy to do as possible. Auto packing is fine. Like the auto UV, I actually use it when I press Control L. That's the layout option that's packing things like automatically. So that one's fine. Okay, so we're gonna go File. We're gonna say New 4K. Select. And we're gonna do where is it? Here. Demo head. It's this one. Hit open. DirectX is fine. Okay, there we go. So as you can see, we're gonna have 3 texture sets: the earrings, the eyes, and the skin. We don't need to have this much resolution for all of them, but I'm gonna keep it just for now. And let's go to the baker. We're gonna set this to 4K. We are gonna grab this one right here. Should get the actual like mesh real quick. There we go. I am gonna change one option here. I'm gonna use the automatic experimental thing to get like a tighter cage for the character. And then I'm gonna do I need to match? I don't really need to match because we don't have like too many things. Do we match? Do we not match? Let's not match. We don't match right now. And we're gonna anti-alias 4x4 and just bake. There we go. Beautiful. Ambient occlusion, cavity, yep, all that. So this is interesting. This is an interesting example. For this particular character, I did not do decimation, right? So the head inside of ZBrush, if we go to ZBrush, we're at 3.3 million points, which is around 6 or 7 million like polygons for the bakes. And it's fine. Like the softwares, is if you have a strong computer, you will be able to bake all of that information back into your mesh, and you're gonna have like a super clean like normal map, as you can see right here. So this is a 4K map, so we're definitely using quite a bit of resolution. Some of you might be like, oh, but I want to have even more resolution. Well, if you want to have more resolution, you're gonna have to be using things like UDIMs or other like processes, because right now this is usually the most you're gonna be seeing inside of a game, which is the bust of the character or the face of the character with a 4K map. I haven't seen a game that's using like an 8K map for a character. So this is like the most quality that you can get. There's a couple of tricks that we're gonna be using later to add even more detail, but yeah, this is pretty much the limit that we have right now. Now, this is for a short Alan, because I know people like mess this up quite a bit. Let me just add no, that's fine. Let's keep it like this. So there are 3 things I always change when I go into Substance before I start texturing. First of all, I changed First of all, I changed the environment map. The basic one has a lot of like light information. I don't really like it. My favorite one to do this kind of stuff is Studio Tomoko. Studio Tomoko is really good because it's very neutral light. We have a nice like a main light that we can sort of like rotate around with shift, and it gives us a very nice sort of like realistic result. Second thing that I always change, I always go to my shader settings and I change the specular quality to at least medium, if possible high. This is going to allow you to see the actual like shininess of your object, the roughness of your object. By default, if you set this to very low, which is the default, you can see that the character doesn't look as shiny. So a very common issue is that you texture with very low specular quality, and then you export this to Marmoset, to Maya, or to Unreal, and it looks way too shiny, right? That's because the high one is actually the real one. So you definitely want to set the specular quality to high. And finally, if we go back here to the viewer options, I like to change my camera settings. You can see that by default, we have a very low focal length. 17 is very sort of like a wide lens, and that's like very damaging. So I like to change this. If you like Maya, you can go to 35. If you like what's the word, Blender, you can go to something like 55. I think 55, especially for character portraits, is really good. You can definitely see the difference. We had 17, especially when you get really close, it's like super distorted, and it really like freaks you out in terms of like the visual things, right? So I personally like 55 for characters because it's a little bit more sort of like standard, looks a little bit more like a nice portrait, and it's gonna give me a way better result here. That's it. Those are like the three things that I always change. However, Sant Naval here has Sant Naval has a very important question. Do we change the color space to aces? I personally don't do that. I personally like to work with like the standard sRGB color space because it's the most standard across all of the different all of the different like things or the softwares. But if you already have everything set up to aces in other softwares and you want to see like the exact same thing everywhere, then yes, you can set that up as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So we got like really good normal map bakes. Let's look for some contamination. The corners of the lips are always like a tricky part, but as you can see here, we barely have any, so that's some good news. That's great. And it's always a good idea to sort of like move around and check this thing. Okay, so we have a little bit of an issue here. Let's see. I'm gonna give a bonus point to whoever can tell me why we have an issue with this earring right here. Like this earring looks fine, right? Like we got the what's the word? We're getting the nice like ambient occlusion and everything, and we take a look at this one and we have big issues. What would be your first instinct? What would you check? Let's see. The low poly is missing. Solid Mango, you're close to the answer, but it's not the low poly that's missing. The low poly is right here. So what is missing if it's not the low poly? No, it's no UV overlap. Remember, we did the unfold and everything was working perfectly fine. No, the cage is perfectly fine as well. If we go to the baker right here and we take a look at the cage, if we go here, there you go. You can see the cage is fine. So it's not the cage. No, it's not the UV wrap. Something very stupid. Something very stupid. In Maya, I accidentally deleted the earring on the other side. So there's no high poly that this earring right here, the low poly earring, can be looking for. That's right, Delu 1098. You got that right, man. You got the bonus point today. So the issue is that on the high poly, I, again, made a mistake, and there's no high poly for that one. So it's missing the high poly. It's not finding any information. It's just making like whatever it can freaking find. So I'm just gonna mirror this thing right here. There we go. We just need to export this again. File, export selection. Again, that's our high poly right there. And then we go back to Substance. And as you can see here, boom, it's gonna update it. Should update it in just a second. There you go. That's the high poly. That's the cage. Now we can bake again very quickly. Let's just bake this thing right here, and all of that stuff is going to be fixed. Right now it's baking the head. As soon as it finishes baking the head, it's going to jump and bake the eyes, and then it's going to bake the earrings. There we go. So earrings are being baked now, and as you can see, the bake is now working properly. So it is very important. Like I have my own list of like checks whenever I have like bake issues, and it usually goes UVs, check that your UVs are fine. Cages, check that your cages are fine. High polys, to make sure that the high poly and the low poly are one on top of each other and on the proper place, right? And then if after that doesn't work, sometimes it's material stuff, sometimes it's like flip normals, sometimes it's like non-manifold geometry. There's a bunch of different like things that you can check, but you need to have that mental checklist so that if you ever encounter this kind of issues, you can quickly troubleshoot them. Okay? So that's it. Now someone asked why not 85. You can go higher on your focal length if you want for the camera. That's fine. It really doesn't change that much. I feel like this one looks. Am I like flipping or crazy? But does the likeness look a little bit like Millie Bobby Brown? I feel like I didn't do this on purpose, by the way. Like I was not following any specific like character, but I feel like I capture a little bit of her likeness, maybe on some of the facial features. I don't know. I get like a little bit of that. Maybe it's because I just watched Stranger Things last week, but yeah, let's see. How many hours do you work before you need a break? Also, how many hours do you put in a day? I usually work in like 1 or 2 hour periods, and I take like 5 or 10 minute breaks like between those periods. But that's because I have like meetings, and then I have like mentorships, and then I record, and then I just keep going. I try not to work for like long periods of time. Like I mean I work for long periods of time. Like I do at least like 8 or 10 hours every day of 3D work or of work in general, but I never am sitting like for 8 hours straight. Like that's just very damaging for you. So I try to stand up, do other stuff, like make some calls, write some emails on my phone. Like I try to make things or change things around. Let's see. Tao Koroyama says, hey Abe, when I did a hero prop with a lot of buttons, I found I had a lot of small islands because of all of the UV cuts and hard edges for bakes. Would it be better to just bevel edges versus texture space? Yes. Beveling edges is very common for hard surface stuff. It's going to give you cleaner techniques, or it's going to give you cleaner bakes, and it's going to in general help. Right now, I know we got not canceled, right? But we got like a very viral clip that was taking a little bit of out of the concept where I mentioned that poly count doesn't matter. Of course, poly count matters, but it doesn't matter as much as we used to think, or as we cared about like several years in the past, because nowadays computers can handle like millions and millions of polygons. So let's say you have like a gun, right? And the gun is like 5K triangles, but it has no bevels. You can easily take that gun and make it a 10K like a model with bevels. That's gonna look way better. It's gonna texture way better. It's gonna just like feel way better in the game. And that jump from 5K triangles to 10K triangles, even though it's double the amount of like polygones, it's not what's the word? It's not gonna be like something that's gonna break your game or anything. Let's see. Yeah, Pomodoro technique's another one. Luna, thank you for the bits there. Baking in Maya versus baking in Substance, which is better and fast? Definitely Substance. I've never baked in Maya, man. Like oh man, that's a weird question. I think the last time I baked in Maya was in like 2011. So that was like 14 years ago. After Maya, some of you guys are gonna remember this one. If you remember this software, you're one of the OGs. XNormal. So XNormal was the way that we baked back in the day. It's a free app. You can still download it, by the way. It has this very sort of like 90s looking element. Look at the interface right here. It's so crazy looking. This is the interface for XNormal. This is what we used to do for bakes. Like this was our Substance Painter back there for bakes. You would load in your cage, you would load in your low poly, you would set up which maps you wanted to get, normal map, height map, like all of this ones right here, and then you would bake, right? So this was the way to do it. Then Substance came along, then Marmoset, well actually Marmoset and Substance came along at roughly the same time, but Substance specialized in texturing and Marmoset specialized on presentation. Marmoset is by far the best one in terms of like the control that you can get for your bakes. So if you want to have like full control of every single aspect of your bakes and bake even way more maps than XNormal or than Substance Painter, Marmoset wins there by far. But again, for most of the like basic stuff like this one right here, Substance is perfectly fine. Let's see. Every asset is different, Sam. Every asset is going to be different. Hello, Harambe. Happy to see you here, my friend. Okay. So now we need to start with the actual texturing process. I'm going to go to the earrings real quick. And if you guys remember, we did a gold material, this one old gold that I did a couple of like months ago, and I really like this one because as you can see, it already has like all of the important information. It has like metal edge wear, it has like scratches, it has a little bit of rust, so it's very easy to just add that one. And having the context of this metal right there, it's not bad, right? I'm not sure why we have the eyes texture, and I'm not seeing the eyes. I'm not sure where they are. Let's see. I'm doing a lot of questions today. I have diorama. I just finished. There's some candles I would like to animate floating. Where should I do it? In Maya? Can I export everything painted? Yes, you can do it in Maya. But if you want to export that Destroya and see it inside of Marmoset, you need to rig it. Now, it should be fairly easy. I'm just gonna help you out there. I know we're taking a lot of tangents as well. But if you have, let's say this is your candle, right? And you want to animate this thing moving up and down in a cycle. So you cannot just animate with S because this information is not always saved. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to rigging. You're going to create a bone. Don't be scared of bones. Bones are perfectly fine. Let's place the bone on, let's say, on the base of the candle right there. As you can see, that's where the bone is. And then you're going to grab the bone, grab the candle, and you're going to go to rigging, skin, and you're going to bind skin. And what that will do now is this bone is going to be moving that cylinder, right? It's bound to that cylinder. You don't need to paint weights. You don't need to do anything because this one right here is everything that you need to do. So on this one right here, now to animate it, you just hit S on one position, move it a couple of frames, let's say frame 60, push it up, move it a couple of frames, hit S, push it up, S, move it a couple of frames, and then go back to the original position and hit S. That's it. So now you have a cycle. As long as the animation stops one frame before this cycle right there, so it stops in frame 117 in this case. I'm gonna push this to 117. There you go. So what's gonna happen now is when you hit play, that thing's gonna go up and down, and it's gonna go up and down in a very sort of like uniform motion. So this is now a cycle, and you've successfully animated. Like I'm guessing you're doing some sort of like Harry Potter, like a magical little scene. So imagine if you have all of this. That's all you need. Now you want to see something cool? I'm gonna grab both of these guys right here, okay? And I'm gonna go to edit. I'm gonna say duplicate with transform. This is very important. Not duplicate, duplicate with transform. And if I do that right there, I should get, do I get the animation or do I not get the animation? Oh, no, I didn't get the animation. There is one option. There is one option. Give me 1 second here. Edit. Is it duplicate special? Yeah, here. Duplicate special. It's going to be a copy. And I'm gonna duplicate input graph. That one? Yes, there you go. So now this one right here, as you can see, has the animation, right? So now both of them are going to be animated. What I can do now is grab this joint right here. Let's go to the animation editor. Animation editors, graph editor. And I'm going to go to translation X. This one right here. I'm just going to move the translation X down. There you go. And I can do this multiple times. So I'm going to grab all of this. I'm going to duplicate this guys again. And then I'm going to grab again the translate X of this guys. And just push it down. Oh, wait. I need to grab all of this. There we go. So duplicate, grab this new joints, translate X, push it down, translate X, push it down. There we go. So now we have four like candles, right? Like going up and down. What you're gonna do here, this is the fun thing, is you're gonna grab one of these ones, like, or all of them. You're gonna go to your graph editor. Animation editor's graph editor. You're gonna grab all of the curves and you're gonna push them a little bit to the side, and then you're gonna grab the other one, grab one of this and push it back, and then you're gonna grab the other one, grab the whole curves and push it forward. What this is doing is offsetting the animation. So now, as you can see, all of the animations are offsetted. They're gonna be starting at different intervals, right? And you're gonna have a little bit more of a magical effect. Now, how can we make all of this repeat? Very simple. We're gonna grab all of the joints and we're gonna go again to Windows, Animation Editor's Graph Editor, graph all of the curves, and you're gonna say curves pre-infinity cycle and then curves post-infinity cycle. So now, as you can see, these curves repeat infinitely. Doesn't matter at what point in the in the animation slider you're using, these things are always gonna repeat. So the animation is always gonna be happening, right? So now I can just let the animation run infinitely, and these guys are always going to be sort of like floating around with this very nice, like magical and a very interesting offset, right? Like the offset is what makes this thing look a lot more interesting, because instead of everything moving at the same time, we're moving them at different intervals. I'm just using cylinders here, but you replace this with like your actual like texture, like little candle model. We should do that sometimes. Like I think that would be a nice like hand painted exercise or something. I can modify the pattern and it will update. Yes, that's right. Yeah. So if you grab, for instance, let's say this one right here, this joint right here, and you go to one of the animation points, Let's see, Windows, Animation Editors, Graph Editor. We grab this one and want to push it even further up. All of the curve around, like the post and pre-infinity, is going to be updated as well. So now that one's going to be going way further up, and it's just going to offset very interesting. Yes, that's right. You can do a turntable using that like element as well. So yeah, that's a little bit of a quick demo there on animation, offset, and rigging. Let's see. I'll never forget my father's last words to me just before he died. What the hell, man? It's so random. It's a good one, though. Let's see. John Da says, I wanted to know if we need to learn Mari for making characters for BD games. I'm learning in an institution right now, but I'm not good at Mari. Not really. Unless you're going to be also doing like cinematics and you are going to have like really high like quality textures, you don't really need to learn Mari. Like you can get away with just like Substance Painter. I learned Mari when I was in school. It was again like 10 years ago. It's been 10 years since I graduated. But yeah, I haven't like really practiced too much. Okay, let's go layers here and let's start with the skin process. It's not complicated. Like I don't think anything is like really complicated except maybe like rocket science, right? But in art, like it's just a lot of steps, right? It's very technical. So you need to study and you need to find like the specific things and you just need to do this. Like you just need to figure out what like the proper workflow is for every part of the process. Let's see. Axie says your Substance Painter YouTube tutorials helped me a lot. Hey, I'm glad they did. No, I don't know Houdini. I don't even have it installed. Like if I look for Houdini, it's not even here. I just have the icon that I use sometimes, but I've never used. Like I don't think I've opened Houdini in like 8 years or something like that. Like I do not know Houdini. I'm scared of Houdini, to be honest. Okay, so we're gonna start with a very basic like skin tone here. I'm gonna just like drop in a color, and we're gonna go for skin tones. Little quick tip: when you're doing skin tones, one of the things that you can do is look for skin tones makeup. And you're going to get like the actual colors here. So this is great because no matter what type of character you're doing, you're going to be able to find like the exact skin tone that you want. And it's just a matter of like sampling. So in this case, she does live on like cold environments. So she's a little bit more, traditional Caucasian Eurocentric like character. So I'm going to go with like this tone right here. There you go. That seems a little bit saturated, so I'm going to desaturate a little bit because she's, again, supposed to be evil. There we go. So usually when I'm starting with the texturing of the skin, I like to start with full roughness. So I'm going to turn on roughness here. I'm just going to push it all the way to the top because I don't like roughness sort of like distracting me. Some people like to have a little bit of roughness just to get them, a little bit of an idea. That's fine. Just be careful because if you keep it very glossy, the highlights of the skin might be distracting you. Yeah, this is going to be Caucasian skin, guys. Again, like the idea for this character is that she's, again, like a witch or something like that. So I'm thinking about that kind of stuff. There are not much African skin texturing tutorials. No, unfortunately, they're not. I've made my own fair share of like characters. I don't have them on my portfolio, I think. But there is a very cool tip that you can look for here. So if you look oil painting dark skins, you're going to find this. And this is awesome because there's a lot of people that do oil painting. So if you do this, look at this. You're going to find the tones that you need to be looking for dark skin. And as you can see, they're usually a little bit more saturated. Of course, they're going to be a little bit darker, but they're not like the obvious colors that we might be thinking of. So look for this like color palettes that they use for dark skins and just literally sample these colors that you see right here. Like this is your best like color palette that you can choose. Like oil painting tutorials, like people who do oil painting, they have such a good mastery of color and form, and you can learn so much by just like literally sampling the colors that they're using and analyzing all of these things. Let's see. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna use the traditional like a clown technique that I've shown before in my tutorials, which is gonna help us to build a very interesting base for the character. But I'm gonna sort of like break it up a little bit for you guys. I'm gonna try something a little bit different here. So I'm gonna start with a red channel. I'm gonna go here, red color, not super saturated. There's a rule that I want to show you guys. Is try to keep tones right around here on the center of the values, right? So this red right here, it's a lot more like a natural and uniform than this red right here. Doesn't mean that we cannot use this reds, but once you go to the limit of the saturation and the values, there's really not much room for you, right, to move. So I'm gonna go right around here. I'm gonna go a little bit more orangey, something like that. There we go. And I'm gonna of course rename this and call this red. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna add a black mask. I'm gonna add a fill layer, and I'm gonna look for some like noise or dots. Let's see if we have something here. We can even use like this purling noise. Yeah, this one is gonna be fine. There you go. So as you can see, what this purling noise is doing, especially if we increase the let's see if we have a little bit more of this. There we go. What this is doing is it's literally breaking up the skin and giving us a very sort of like uniform distribution of the red tone across the whole thing. I always encourage you guys to blend the colors. Don't just let the colors sit on top of each other. Blend the colors a little bit. So this one I'm going to set to overlay. I really like overlay. And as you can see, by changing this to overlay, the color gets a little bit more saturated, a little bit more intense, and it just like blends a little bit better with the character. So I'm going to do that. And that's going to be just my basic red layer. I'm going to, of course, play with the opacity. I don't want to have too much of that redness. I'm going to sort of like tone it down. But see how much more interesting the character looks just by adding that little red layer right there? Now we're going to start sort of like dirtying it up. We're going to start sort of like breaking this up a little bit more. So I'm going to add another red layer. I'm going to go here with another red color. I'm going to add a black mask. And this is where we can think about the areas of high irrigation, okay? So this I'm going to do manually. I'm going to add a black mask. And on this black mask, I'm going to add a paint layer. There we go. I'm going to go to my brushes. And I'm going to go for something like dots, dirt spots. This one is nice. Yeah, maybe dots erased. This one's a little bit better. I'm gonna make the brush very small. I'm gonna use my stylus here. There we go. And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna go again to areas of high irrigation. I am gonna turn on symmetry, make my life a little bit easier. And areas of high irrigation are areas where there's a lot of blood flow, right? So in this case, the nose is gonna be one of them. The lips are gonna be another one. Right there, and any area where we have big muscles. So for instance, the cheeks, all of this nasolabial fold. It's another area. Very important that you do not, please do not change the size of your brush. A very common mistake my students make is they go with a very big brush and they start doing this. You're gonna get huge spots, and that's gonna just break everything. It's gonna break the sort of like the realism of this like pigments that we're dropping. So make sure that you are doing this. Can you make a video of color blending layers? Sometimes I don't know which blending should I use. Dude. Hey, Leal 3D. Layer blending. It's there. I did this 1 year ago. Everything you need to know about blending modes. I show it in Photoshop, but it's the exact same thing. So on this video right here, I show all of the information of blending layers, how they work, multiply screen, like the different like artifacts. It's a long video. It's like 23 minutes. So check that one out. Just look Leal 3D blending layers, and you're gonna get that. It's already there. I already thought about that one. So let's continue adding. Now you're usually gonna have this sort of like points everywhere, right? That's why we had the purling noise before, but there's going to be areas where you're going to see a little bit more of this. Again, it's areas where there's like big bundles of muscles or big areas of irrigation. So again, I'm going to hit the lips a little bit more, but I usually don't leave any area without at least a little bit of this effect. Okay. Same for the ears. Let's add a little bit of that there on the ears. There we go. And it's patience. I wanted to also use this time, guys, this video in particular, this live stream, to show you that you need to be patient. Like, it's not something that's going to happen in just 1 minute. So it's going to take me, a couple of minutes to just go across the whole surface here and create all of the information that I need here. Hopefully I'm not boring you throughout this process, but it's very, very simple. Yep, just look that one up, man. I know it's going to sound very, I don't know, hopefully it doesn't sound as bad as I think it's going to sound, but if you ever have a question about the specific thing in 3D softwares, like literally just look Leal 3D and the issue that you're having, bakes, UVs, substance painter, generators, hand-painted stuff, I don't know, ZBrush sculpting, ropes. If you do that, more often than not, you're going to find a video, because I've made so many videos about all of the things that I would have liked to have when I was learning. Right now, I'm using my tablet. Right now I'm using my tablet, and the reason why I'm using my tablet is because I want to control the pressure. If I hit very, very strongly, you can see that I get a lot of pressure, so I'm going kind of softly around the whole thing. It's not really changing the opacity, it's mostly changing the size of the dots. There we go. Now, usually, we also have something called regions. And on this center region of the eyes, on the face, and I'm going to show you this a little bit later, but in this center video of the eyes, we have a little bit more redness. So I'm going to just be a little bit more aggressive there. Don't forget the neck. That's another thing. Like, people usually focus too much on the face, and they forget about the neck and the chest and everything. And you should not. So, for instance, the breast area, of course, it's going to be an area where there's a little bit more irrigation. So we need to add a little bit more of this, like red spots. The muscles, the sternocleidomastoideus muscles that we have right there, a little bit on top of the what's the word? The freaking clavicles. Keep rotating the light. This is another one of those tips, guys, that's so important when texturing. Whenever you're texturing anything, keep rotating your light. Don't let your light stay still all the time. You need to see the textures, you need to see the materials, you need to see how they behave, as long as you, or rather, you need to see how it behaves depending on where the light is hitting. Because a lot of the times, people just stick to one specific light scenario, and then they rotate the light, and it looks a little bit awkward, or a little bit weird. So make sure you're constantly rotating your light so that you can really appreciate how everything is looking from every single angle. Of course, you need to rotate the camera as well. You need to see the character from every single angle, but rotating the light is one of those very important things to really appreciate how the textures, how the colors, how the materials are looking on your character. Good time to save? I would say so, Aaron. This is a really good time to save. So let's go here. Call this female skin demo. There we go. So yeah, saving. And now this one as well, we're going to change this to something like an overlay so that the colors blend a little bit better. And of course, I'm going to play with a little bit of opacity. So as you can see, we have our first layer of red that just gives me a sort of like general, like nice, like overall like texture to the skin. And then we have this one right here that gives me a little bit more of that pigmentation on the important parts. And see how much more interesting the skin is looking. Like, this is the secret to a good skin. The fact that we're going to get a lot of like breakpoints pretty much everywhere. She's a bald elf. Yeah, she's a bald elf right now. In gaming industries like studios, the alphas which they use on the characters, they make their own, or the downloads, for instance. But they usually have their own libraries. It's very funny. It depends on the studio, right? But usually the studio will have like a resources folder, or like a resources like server. And if you need something, it's probably going to be there. If you need base meshes, if you need alphas. And when you go, for instance, to ArtStation, right? Like on this one right here, you can buy the extended commercial license, and this is what you would buy as in a studio so that more people can use that. So if I look for alphas, right? Let's look alphas. There's gonna be like a bunch of them, like I don't know, like this one's right here. This guy's really good. Jonas Runegard, he has like so many cool alphas. So if you want to buy one of this alphas, let's go right here, for instance. You're gonna have this standard use, commercial use, and Team Studio license. If it's for your portfolio, you buy this one. If it's for a project that you're going to be selling, right, you're going to be making money out of it, you use this one, commercial use license. As you can see, the price difference is not that bad. And if you're a studio and you want all of your artists to be able to use this like alphas, you buy this one, right? And that's it. Once you own the license, you're like free to use this as many times as you want, and it's a really good way to save time. Crazy Milk says, love your videos, learn a lot, and even if I know everything you show, it's like meditation. Greetings from snowy northern Germany. Dude, I really want to visit Germany. It's one of the places that I really want to visit sometime. I was near Germany one time. I was in Austria. We visited Austria and Budapest as well when I was younger. Okay, I'm going to give this a little bit more opacity. There you go. Now we're going to go with the second color, and the second color that we're going to be adding is going to be a blue color. I'm going to use a similar process. So I'm actually going to grab this red color, just duplicate it, have it on the top right there, and this one is now going to be blue. Okay, so I'm going to go with blue colors. I'm going to do this. That's going to make the skin feel a lot more colder, right? It's going to bring the temperature down, because right now we were using very sort of like, what's the word? Very warm colors. And now by using this, we're balancing things out, and everything's going to go back to a more neutral effect. I do think this one might be a little bit too much, so let's smooth things out. I want her to have like a little bit of a fairer skin. Now, this is an interesting thing. Since we duplicated this purling noise, right now the blue dots and the red dots are sitting one on top of each other. Can you guys see? I know it's gonna be a little bit difficult to see, but the red dots and the blue dots are literally sitting on top of each other, and that generates a little bit of a conflict. So I need to go to this 3D purling nose and just click on the seed. By clicking on the seed, we're rotating the noise around, we're generating a different type of noise, and now this one doesn't exactly match this one right here. So we're gonna have something that looks a little bit better. The blue, you gotta be very careful with it, so I'm gonna really tone it down, like 19, 20. Like, I don't wanna have too much of that blue, because it really makes the skin feel a little bit more sickly. So that's not something that I want. Let's see, you can change light from camera, so you don't need to rotate the light too much. What do you mean? You can change the light from camera? Yeah, just shift and right click. Is that what you mean? Like, that's what I normally do. Shift and right click. Yolanda Demetrius, finally able to watch live stream. Always love your tutorials. Well, welcome, Yolanda. Welcome, welcome. Let's see. How did you like Budapest? I really enjoyed it. I was very young back then. I was like 15 or 16. But I enjoyed it. We went to Budapest. We went to Prague. We went to Vienna and then Italy. It was a fun trip. You can change the light environment to something like Underpass or Studio. Yeah, this is a Studio Tomoko. I'm using Studio Tomoko right now, which is the one that I really like. Piratamat. You have an option in Painter to align the light to the camera. Ooh, do we? Oh, this one right here, right? Camera. Yeah, that works. That works. I don't use this one often, to be honest, but that works. Yeah, environment alignment, camera. Nice. Yeah. Cool. Nice option there. Okay, so now, similar to what we did with this fill layer, we're going to add a new layer, and this one, I'm going to do it a little bit more procedural. So I'm still going to be using a blue color. Sometimes I like to go for like purple colors as well. In this one, I'm going to add a black mask, and I'm going to add a generator, and this is going to be, of course, a dirt generator. So the dirt generator, as you guys can see, is going to go into all of the crevices of the element, and that's usually where you want your blue colors. This one, I'm also going to set something like an overlay. Sometimes I like multiply because it darkens the colors a little bit, and we're, of course, going to sort of like bring it down. Now, the only problem with this one right here is that, as you can see, it starts looking a little bit like a layer, like a very sort of like ugly layer. If I take a look, Alt and click, you're gonna see that we have very obvious like elements right there. So I'm gonna use a little bit of math here. I'm gonna use a fill layer, and again, we can use another purling noise, and we can multiply this purling noise against the other one to break it up a little bit. So instead of having this like super intense like white like plasters of blue right there, I'm using this 3D purling noise to sort of like break it down and sort of like fade it a little bit. So as you can see, that again, it's gonna give me a nice breakdown on the whole like thing. I do think the purple might look a little bit weird, so I might go a little bit more towards the blues. And the cool thing about this is all of this is procedural, right? So we're sort of like pushing things around and just getting a nice visual interest for the skin. Any questions so far? Shiru says, I love your videos. They do help me a lot, man. You are welcome. Welcome, man. I'm glad they do. Definitely tone this down as well. Like, they're going to be on a low saturation. So, or on a low opacity, rather. You miss some shadow information sometimes, maybe. Yeah, no, it's a good that we are, like we move things around. Did you try the polygon fill in Substance 1.1? It feels a bit unstable when we click a single polygon. Sometimes it doesn't pick it properly. Haven't really tried that one, my friend. Haven't really tried that one. Okay, so now we're gonna go with the next layer, and this layer is a very important layer. It's gonna be another one of this like purling noise layers that we added. So I'm gonna duplicate that one, but this one's gonna be yellow. So we're gonna go yellow, and I usually like to go with this sort of like mustard yellow. That's gonna bring back a little bit of that warmness and that like life to the character. Same stuff. We need to go to the seed and change the seed a little bit so that it sort of like dances around. This one, if you wanna really brighten or sort of like make the skin a little bit more alive, you can tweak or push the saturation up. And as you can see, this is going to be a balance against the blue elements that we had, right? So before this one, the blue colors were really bringing everything down. If you want to go for this like undead character or like a necromancer or something, you can use this one. But if you want the skin to be a little bit warmer, you can just use again now this yellow layer to counteract a little bit of that effect. And that's going to give us the three main colors that we need: yellow, blue, and red. Now they're all working together and they're giving us the exact same like result that we want to go for. Now on the yellow, you can also add another like procedural like layer on this one. So again, I'm gonna grab the yellow color right there. I'm gonna add a black mask, and this one you can use a metal edgeware. This is a funny one, so I'm gonna use a metal edgeware here. Where is it? There we go. Because it's going to hit all of the high points of the element. And if you set this to linear dodge, this one I like to set to linear dodge, it's going to lighten up all of those points, which could be where the skin is pushing against, or the bone is pushing against the skin, and you get like a very nice effect. Of course, this one, we're going to soften it quite a bit. But see how we get a little bit of that like brightness on the nose, on the ridges, on the nose, on the ears right there, on the collarbones, right? So that one right there, it might not seem like it's doing much because you can see it's very low in terms of like opacity, maybe like a 10%, but it can definitely help push some of those colors back out. So it's a way to sort of like give us a little bit of that like relief, and we're only using color. So this one right there, it's another really good one to just bring a little bit more information. Not Bullying says, dude, what was that mind-blowing for you? The yellow color? That one's a really good one. I really like using that one. I'm gonna do like 8%, but you gotta keep it subtle, right? Like you gotta keep it quite subtle to get a nice result. So that's it. That's the basic construction here of a skin. I'm going the character course at the end of the month. You got me so interested in learning now. I've never thought to try likeness. Yeah, which character course? I don't have a likeness course. Just careful there, because you might be looking at some of my like courses when I was back in some of the other like studios. If you want to learn about texturing, the one that I recommend is the dwarf one, the substance painter one. This one. In this one, we cover a lot of this information. So yeah, if you want to see like the full pipeline, even though it's hand painted, then this one, the hand painted 3 character for games. Let's see. Wasn't near the keyboard, but heard you visit Europe. If you ever visit Hungary again, try Tihany or Tokash and try the food. I think you will like it. Oh, definitely, man. Definitely. Okay. So now it's time that we start working on some more specific things about the skin, because the skin that I built right here, this is just like a general skin. Technically, I could just save this as a smart material, and anytime I need a skin like a texture, I can just use this as a starting point. But now we can start like playing with some more like important like bits of information. So the next layer that I'm gonna be adding is gonna be a little bit of like warmth to the whole thing. And to do this, I'm again going to go into like a dark reddish color, something like this. And I'm going to add a black mask, but I'm not going to add a dirt layer. I'm actually going to go a fill layer. And on the fill layer, I'm going to look for an ambient occlusion. The ambient occlusion that we baked from our original like bakes right there. And what I want to do is I want to use a levels here to flip that ambient occlusion and play with the levels so that we can incorporate a little bit of that redness right here. This one, curiously enough, I am going to be using linear dodge. Why linear dodge? Because if I start pushing the red color a little bit higher up, I'm going to get a little bit of that sort of like subsurface scattery effect, right? So we're going to start getting a little bit of that like interesting like warmthness again on the crevices of the natural places of the body. So it's similar to what we did, but it's going to really sort of like push the skin values to where I want them to be. I want the topo course, but I don't have topogon. Will it be worth buying? Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. So if you're doing topology in ZBrush, if you're doing topology in Blender with ReTopoFlow, if you're doing topology in Maya with Quadra, the techniques that I show you, like how to optimize things, how to move loops from one side to the other, where to place the loops, you can do the exact same thing. The only thing you're going to be missing are some tools that Topogon has that makes it a little bit easier, but the principles of topology absolutely work for any particular software. Let's see. Is this going to be a full video on YouTube? It's going to be the live stream. Like, I'm just going to leave the live stream up when we finished. Let's tone this down a little bit. But yeah, see how much this like ambient occlusion helps right there to just bring a little bit more life to the character. It's a very simple layer, but it helps so freaking much. Now, I'm gonna add 2 layers now, guys. And these layers, I'm gonna be very honest. These are not realistic layers. These are layers that are gonna help me for the kind of like character that I want to go for, which is just a little bit stylized, but they're really good to give a lot of depth to the character. This is not something that you're gonna find in a like a hyper realistic character, but I find that they help quite a bit. So I'm gonna add a few layers here, and the first layer is gonna be a shadow layer. So I'm gonna go for like a dark color. Something like this, a little bit of like color information like this purple, not too much, something like that. I'm gonna add a black mask on this one, and I'm gonna right click, and I'm gonna add a generator, and I'm gonna add the light generator. So the light generator, we've used this one before. We used this quite a bit on the hand painted stuff, right? And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rotate the knobs so that these guys are facing down. Okay, both knobs, the horizontal angle and the vertical angle, should be facing down. Again, if I press Alt and click on the mask, this is what we're getting right now. So what I'm doing is I'm introducing some shadows on all of the faces that are looking downwards, right? So if I go back to the material right now, especially if I go to color mode, you can see that this layer right here is adding a lot of shadow on the lower portions of the character. This one, of course, I'm also going to set to something like overlay, which is going to, again, darken this thing. And I'm going to push this thing and sort of like blend it a little bit. So what I want to do here is I want to make sure that even if I'm looking at the flat color, I can still see the volume of the character. Because without this, you can see it looks very, very flat. Even though we have some nice like edges and some nice like crevices here, this one is really helping me see that volume back. So the only problem with these layers is that if you ever have a light scenario where there's light coming from below, that texture is no longer going to match, right? Because this is telling me that the light's coming from above. So this is why I'm telling that this is not like a perfectly physically accurate layer that you might use all the time, but it's a good one to just like add that little extra extra volume to the whole thing. Let's see. Is your Substance course about realistic characters? No, I wouldn't say it's realistic characters. I would say it's more about Substance in general. So we go about looking at all of the different tools. We do this dwarf. His name is Dor the dwarf, and we cover all of the different things, right? We do bakes, anchor points, we do the path tools, we do layers, how to do skin, how to do leather, how to do metal, how to do stone, how to do how to export, how to do UDIMs, how to do skin. So it's this is a course that I made for anyone who wants to learn Substance Painter and they're like new to the software and they want to learn all of the different tools, how they work, how they interact with each other, and how they can get the best out of it. Let's see. Yeah, if you want stylized, that's the pirate one. So this one right here. So on the hand painted 3D character for games, this is where we go into like hand painted styles. So if you like League of Legends, if you like Arcane, that kind of stuff, this is the one that you want. This is a little bit more advanced though. Like this is like I do expect people who get this course to have like a very like good understanding of ZBrush before they do this one, because I don't explain like the tools inside of ZBrush. Like I don't explain this is a brush and this is an alpha and this is that. No. It's this is different. Like this is just like the full pipeline for the character. Can you also paint normals on this character? Yeah, you can paint whatever you want, man. So now I'm gonna do the exact same thing. I'm gonna add a new layer. This is gonna be a warm layer, so something like this. Add a black mask, the generator, the light generator. Where is it? This one right here. I'm gonna focus this on the top part now, and this one's gonna be set to linear dodge. This is very important. Why? Because linear dodge, as you can see, will highlight this thing. So this is gonna work as a highlight. This is very, very similar, and we're gonna do a little bit of that in just a second, but this is very similar to what women usually do when they're doing makeup, right? They use makeup to highlight and to push in or out different surfaces of their face to, well, make them look even prettier, right? So this is where we're gonna be doing this. So this one, of course, I'm gonna tone it down, because yes, I want to have a little bit of that like highlight right there, but not too much. And as you can see, this is what we get. I think the yellow might be a little bit too saturated, so I'm gonna go back to a little bit less saturation right there. As you can see, we're not going to the highest points of saturation. We're going for some like mid-tones, just to give me a little bit of a highlight right there. I bet Ave can make nice tattoos. No, dude, I've been thinking like very, very seriously about getting a tattoo. Like I think this arm, like I want to get like a full sleeve on the tattoo. Like I know it's very corny, but I want to get like runes and like quotes, but quotes written with runes or with like more sort of like an ancient fantasy like language. And I've been really thinking about it. It's like, oh man, should I do it? Should I not do it? My wife is okay with it. She's like, yeah, you can do it, but I don't know. Maybe later. Let's see. Kiki is asking, will this be a tutorial on your page? I'll be texturing skin this weekend and would love reference. Yeah, it's gonna be here on YouTube, Kiki. So just check the live stream section and it's gonna be there. It's gonna be there. Yeah, no, of course. No, I would be designing my tattoo, which I know that's something that a lot of tattoo artists don't like when a client goes in with like their own design. But I would like to design my own tattoo and then get it. But unfortunately, here in Mexico, tattoos are very frowned upon still. Like we're very backwards in that sense. Like people see you with a tattoo and they think you're like a criminal or something. I know it's less and less, but it's still kind of like especially with older people. And I do work with a lot of like business owners and company owners. So it's it's a difficult decision. How about hand painted style skin tutorial like Arcane Jinx face skin style? Have I not done that? I did it a little bit. I haven't done exactly like Arcane, because Arcane uses a mix of shaders and it uses a mix of shaders and material and textures, right? But I did show a little bit of like skin texturing with this one. It's a little bit more like League of Legends style, right? Like a little bit softer. But yeah, that could be a good one. It could be a good one there. Have you ever thought about making a short film? Now, I'm not really like, I like film, I like television, I like watching stuff, but the process behind it, I'm not like super fond of it. I prefer games. My favorite tattoo is you have a ZBrush gizmo, Franny? That's awesome. That's pretty cool. A ZBrush gizmo. Nice. A big Substance logo on your arm. I mean, if they pay for it. I saw this other style of tattoo that was pretty interesting, where they had like a honeycomb pattern, and every little like a cell of the honeycomb had like a different art style and like different things. It looked cool. It looked interesting. Is there the possibility to use a scatter materials in substance? Yeah. Okay. So that's what I'm gonna show you. So now I'm gonna do this subsurface pass, and there's I've mentioned this before. There's two types of subsurface that you can do for a character. You can do true subsurface and you can do fake subsurface. Let me show you the fake subsurface real quick. It's very easy, and then we'll do the true subsurface. So for the fake subsurface, you use a fill layer, usually very bright red. Add a black mask. Add a fill layer. Add a thickness here, so look for the thickness that was baked from your original like mesh. So I'm gonna look for a thickness right here. There you go. I'm gonna use that one right there. And as you can see right now, the thin areas are not red and the thick areas are red. We want the opposite. So I'm gonna add a levels right here and flip them. And now you can see that the mouth, the nose, and the ears are very red. The eyes, a little bit of that right there. This thing right here, that's a problem. You guys know? Can anyone tell me why are we getting that like weird like point right there on the neck? Another bonus point, whoever can figure that one out. Yeah, that's right, the earrings. So I'm gonna go back to the earrings. I'm gonna go back to the bakes rather. I'm gonna go back here to the skin, and on the thickness map, I'm gonna change self occlusion, only same mesh name. I'm gonna say bake selected texture. So now on the thickness map, we should not have anything. So curvature, position, and thickness. There we go. It's clean now. So there was some information traveling from the earrings to the neck. They were contaminating the neck. So you need to make sure that you can. Yeah. Of course, I can turn it. I can just say thickness. I can go to the thickness map and say on the thickness map only. I don't want the earrings to be influencing the neck, right? So that's pretty much it. There we go. So now that little like spot is lost. So Control S real quick to save before anything bad happens. And there's a lot of tools that we have here. And of course, this one is going to be set to linear dodge so that we get softer colors. They're multiplied, so they get brighter. And when we get brighter, we lose saturation. So in this case, they look a little bit paler. And of course, we're going to play with the intensity here. I usually like to set this to like 10%, 20%, like not too much, just a little bit. And we can play also with the levels to have a little bit more of a global like subsurface effect for the whole thing. So that it's a little bit more sort of like uniform, so that every single part of the skin has a little bit of that effect. There we go. So this right here, this is what I would call a fake subsurface scattering effect, right? Why fake? Because we're baking this into texture. The texture is holding that information. And again, it doesn't matter how the light situation like moves around or changes around, we're always going to have the exact same effect. It works quite nicely. As you can see, we get a little bit of that on the clavicles. We get quite a bit near the mouth. We get quite a bit near the, what's the word? Near the eyes and near everything. So it's a good one. Now let me show you the true subsurface scattering, okay? How to get like actual subsurface scattering. And to do that, we actually need to go to the shader. So we need to go here to the shader options, and we are gonna go down here to where it says interior, enable translucency, subsurface scattering parameters, enable. That's it. For now, this is it. I am going to remove this option that says use translucency channel as a scattering mask. I'm going to take that off. I don't want that to be happening. And once this is properly set up, if I go back to my skin and I go to texture set setting, I need to add a channel. I'm going to add the scattering channel. And if I go to layers, I can add a new fill layer. And we're going to have now the scattering option right here. I'm going to turn that on. And if I set this all the way up, look at that. Now we're actually getting, like, the skin is actually behaving like a true subsurface scattering thing, where light goes through it and starts looking like this jello thingy, right? This looks like very, very interesting. But we have a problem, and the problem is that we have subsurface scattering happening everywhere. We don't want this effect to be everywhere. So what I do here is I'm actually just going to go back to this layer, the fake subsurface scattering layer that we were using, and I'm just going to turn on scattering right here, because we can use that layer that already has most of the scattering, as you can see, happening on the eyelids, on the nose, on the ears, and we're going to be getting the actual skin effect. Now, this might be a little bit too much, right? Like, this might be, like, it looks way too subsurfacey. There's two ways to control this. First of all, with this scattering node right here, you can just turn this down, right? And find a good balance. So I would say something like that is good enough, where we're getting a little bit of that, like, squishiness to the skin, but we're not really breaking everything. Or you can keep this all the way to the top, go back to the shader settings, and just change the scale. So if we make the scale smaller, then the subsurface effect is not going to be as intense. This is something, I'm just going to say this because people are going to get confused. This is something that you're going to be, changing or adjusting specifically on the render engine. So on the Real Engine or on Marmoset or on Maya, you will be redoing this. You're going to have to retweak this and make sure that your skin, based on what render engine you're using, looks as good as it can. But in here, again, scale is usually what we're going to be using to modify this effect. Again, we want to have a natural looking scale, like right around there. Man, I'm in the industry for 15 years now and I've never used this. Roughness, welcome to our motto. Always learning, always improving. I'm also been doing 3D for like the past 15 years as well. Started in 2011, and every single day I'm learning new things, man. Every single freaking day. You lead girl, I know what you're doing. That's a sneaky way to do it. I'm not checking portfolios right now, my friend, but you're free to submit for a portfolio review at the end of the month. Otherwise, we're gonna spend the whole like lesson here like doing that. Now, I want to show you a little bit of an advanced trick. I have not shown this trick to anyone. Absolutely no one has seen the trick that I'm about to show you. And I was like, should I show it? Should I not show it? I was like, yeah, let's show it. It's a cool trick. So if you have gone online when you're looking for skin references, skin temperature painting, you probably have seen this kind of stuff. It's a very common like a pattern that they show, where you're gonna have a lot of like yellow on the top part of the head, we're gonna have a lot of red on this part right here, and you're gonna have a lot of blue on this part right here. You can even see it on my face right now, even though I have a little bit of colored lights right here. If I look very straight to the camera, this part right here should look a little bit more yellow, this part right here should look a little bit more red, and this part right here, I don't think it looks blue, but maybe a little bit more pinkish, purplish on my particular face. I'm trying to look at the camera right now. So you can see this color regions, right? And again, this is a technique they use quite a bit in oil painting, in acrylic painting, to really generate this sort of like effect on our skin, right? And it's a good way to add more complexity to the character. So I'm gonna show you a technique right here. I'm gonna add a new layer. In this new layer, I am going to add a wait, what was I gonna do? Yeah, right click, I'm gonna add a filter. And on this filter right here, let me think if I'm doing it the way I wanted to do it, or if I'm messing this up. No, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna grab all of the elements here, Control G, just to get them into a group. And I'm gonna work this underneath this whole thing. So I'm gonna turn this off for just a second, and I'm gonna build a very quick gradient map here for my characters. So I'm gonna start with black, right there. I'm gonna group this, by the way. I'm gonna call this gradient map. Gradient map. There we go. So this is gonna be black, and then I'm gonna add a new layer. This is gonna be mid gray right there. I'm gonna add a black mask, and I'm gonna add a generator, and we're gonna add the light generator. Actually, not light generator. Let's do a world position. There you go. Let's press letter C to see what this is doing. So this is world space normals. And what I can do is I can do something like this. Yep, there we go. We can even blur this out a little bit. This one's a little bit too dark, so I'm going to go right there. There we go. And then I'm going to add a new layer. This is going to be a light layer. I'm going to add a black mask. Then I'm going to add a generator. And this is going to be a light generator. Oh, light generator. There we go. I'm going to hit these high points right there. And I'm going to play with the light attenuation so that we have a little bit more of this effect on the top part of the head and a little bit less of this effect on the bottom part of the head. Does it make sense what I'm trying to do right here? So what I'm doing right now is it's kind of like an ambient occlusion, but it's not exactly an ambient occlusion. So I'm creating volumes. I'm just creating volume right now. Light volume, medium volume, and dark volume. What I'm going to do is I'm now going to create an anchor point right here on this like gradient maps. I'm going to turn on my skin back again. We actually don't even need that like folder. And on the material here, I'm going to create a new fill layer. The fill layer is going to be sampling that anchor point. So I'm going to bring this back right here. And then I'm going to transform this into the elements that I just mentioned, the blue, the red, and the yellow. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to add a filter. And I'm going to use a filter that only changes color. I'm going to use a gradient filter. And the gradient filter has 3 colors. So my blacks are going to be my blues. My grays are going to be my reds. And my whites are going to be my yellows. Not bad, right? So what I've just created here, my friends, what I've just created right here is a gradient map that captures a little bit of that information. The cool thing about this, though, is that I can play with these guys right here, the sliders on this gradient map, to change where I want all of these things to do that, right? All of these guys right here. So I'm trying to like just modify them and play with how much red I want to see, how much blue I want to see, how much elements I want to see. And what do you guys think these colors are going to be used for? What are we going to be using this map for? Think. We're going to be using this with something like, I don't know, an overlay. And then a very low, very, very low amount here of like opacity to change the colors, change the volumes. Look at how much more like color, like interest and like saturation we're getting into this thing right here, right? Like we're just like trying, exactly, we're using Chaseta, we're using this to modify the underlying tones of the basic skin that we already painted. The skin we had was fine, like this is a perfectly fine skin, but with this one right here, we're adding so much more juice to the whole thing, right? Exactly, it's very similar to like a subdermal pass that we're using here. Now, very important, keep this very low on terms of opacity. We want to have like 5-10% at most. Like we should not let this thing like override the whole like skin that we have. It should be fairly sort of like simple to just like get a general like a general soft effect, okay? So that's it. This right here, this folder, I'm gonna call this my base skin. So this is the funny thing. Like we've been working on this for what, like almost 2 hours now, and this to me is just the beginning stages. Like I just started texturing. I have not even gone into makeup or scars or blood or dirt or anything. This is just the very basic like skin tone. Can we see the base color? We did it. Yeah, this is it. This is the base color. So now we're like introducing these colors right here. And again, if we go to just the base color, we have so much more variety. It's so simple, it's so subtle, but those little changes that you might see right there, they can really help to make the whole thing a lot more interesting. Again, that's a little technique that I sort of like developed on my own by thinking about how I could incorporate that yellow, red, and blue element into this thing. This is one of those things that I can be proud to say that I came up with, which is create a gradient map black, white, gray, and then transform that into yellow, red, and blue, and then just map it into this thing and just use it to further create an interesting visual aspect here to the skin. Any questions so far? Patented technique, yeah, right? Is 3D code better for hand paint stylized textures, or can you get the same results? You can get the same results. I just find the workflow a lot easier for 3D code. There's a couple of techniques in 3D code that are really really cool to use that you can where you can incorporate like Photoshop, and it's a good way to do it. It is really inspiring to see you grow as a teacher last few years. Congratulations. Thank you, Wixa. Thank you. That's the goal of life, I would say. That's one of the great things about life, that you get better at what you do, you improve, you just like, if you love what you do, I know it sounds very cliche, very corny, but if you love what you do, you enjoy it, and it's just a blast. In this texture, we want to export on height map also. No, that one's not going to be exported. So height map, we're going to be exporting this one, the normal map, right? The normal map information. Here's a trick. Here's another trick. This is a simple trick, because now we need to start thinking about like the roughness and a little bit of like the breakdown on the skin. So here's the thing. Sometimes a very common question that I get is, what if I want to have a little bit more detail, for instance, on the skin? Because we have this normal map, and the normal map is fine, but as you can see, it does look a little bit soft, right? So is there a way we could sort of like have more normal map, like crunch this or sharpen this to get a little bit more detail? And the answer is yes. If you add a new layer and you set this to normal map, and you go to the normal maps and you look for your normal map bake, which is normal, should be here. Where is it? We can look them as texture maps, I believe. No, mesh maps. Why is it not here? Oh, hey, we got a raid. What's up, guys? Oh my god, with a party of 141. I think that's the biggest raid we've ever gotten. The pigeon attack. What's up, guys? Hello. Hopefully it's a good raid. Hey, what's up? We're working on some like texturing right now, my friends, and I'm trying to find the freaking normal map for this character. I have to find it over here, I guess. Mesh maps. Where is it? What's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Ave. I'm a 3D artist. I'm an instructor, and I love teaching about the 3D world. So welcome. Yeah. Hopefully you guys are a good raid. The pigeon attack. Delete the procedural and add the name of the texture sets. Not sure, guys, what you guys are talking about right there. Where is the normal map? Here. Normal. Here, there we go. It's this one right here. Normal M skin. So I'm gonna drop this into the normal map, and there you go. That's it. So what I'm doing right here is I'm just filling the layer with an extra layer of the normal map that we baked from ZBrush, right? So if you want to see more of the skin tones, more of the elements, this is what you can do. And you can even right-click this thing and add a filter, and we can say that this filter is only going to be affecting the normal map channel, and we're going to sharpen this. So there is a way to sharpen this. There you go. So here, the sharp intensity, look at that. We can push it up and get a little bit more of a sharpen effect. Okay? So I know it's very, very simple, but it's a good way to bring back a little bit of that detail. You can see how much more we can sort of like push it out, right? To really get the detail on the skin for the character. Yeah, right there. Let's see. Could you show some techniques for using a paint layer on the face? I mean, something like face paint for camouflage or layer. Yeah, I mean, one thing that we're going to be doing later is we're going to be doing a little bit of like the makeup of the character. The eyes, I have them on ZBrush, guys. The eyes are right here. So I already have the eyes. I'm using an eye kit from Flip Normals. So eventually we're going to be using those eyes. Normally when I'm texturing, I don't texture with the eyes. They can be a little bit distracting. Do I offer mentorships or workshops? Yes. So I have courses. So if you go to my site, aveleal3d.com, I have courses about all of the different parts of the production pipeline for assets. So modeling courses, texturing courses, retopology, Blender, ZBrush, Maya, a little bit of everything. And if you join the Discord and you send me a DM, I can send you the information for mentorships where we work around this whole thing. Level of anti-aliasing for bakes. For bakes, I recommend 4x4. 4x4 for the bakes right there. Okay, now we're gonna add a little bit more depth to the character, and this is where I now remember we talked about this. This is my base skin so far. Some people like to keep things in folders. let's do that. The only problem with keeping things in folders is that things are not going to be able to be passed down onto the next sort of like level. So, well, one thing here is I do want to go to the normal channel. I think it's a little bit too much, so I'm going to set this to like 50%. So I don't want to have a little bit more, but not too much. So I'm going to add a new layer here. This is going to be another red layer. Red dark layer. I'm going to add a black mask, and this is a fun one. I'm going to add another fill layer, and I'm going to look again for one of the mesh maps that we baked, and this is going to be the curvature map. So the curvature map, as you guys can imagine, is all of the low points, the pores, the actual pores of the element. So to this one, I'm going to add a levels, and I'm also going to flip it so that it goes into the inside of the pores. So this one right here, now that we have the levels, we can use the levels to push this and get like a very sharp effect of this like red elements only on the crevices of the element. Of course, I'm going to be pushing this all the way down on the opacity of the color because we don't want too much. But that's another good way to bring back in a little bit of the contrast from the skin. So again, it might not seem like much, but it does add a little bit of like that extra crunchiness to the whole thing. So it's one that I like. And of course, this one we're also going to set to something like overlay. Or even linear dodge could work, I think. Linear dodge might be interesting because it's gonna give us like, again, like this sort of like subsurfacey effect. We might need to change the color though. Just a little bit. There we go. Maybe it's a little bit too bright, so I'm gonna just bring the opacity a little bit further down. There we go. Yeah, thank you guys. This is a character that I'm gonna be using for one of my classes at the university where I teach. So I thought, hey, let's do the preparation process along with you, my friends. When painting the interior of the mouth of the character, what's the best way to do that? For mine, I just separate the inside as a different unit so I could isolate it. Yeah, that's a good option. Normally, I'll just like I believe there's an option to hide stuff. I don't pay too much attention to the inside of the mouth, to be honest, unless you're gonna have like a creature and the creature's gonna be opening the mouth and biting and I don't know, attacking people. For characters, it's very weird to have like a super intense screen where you're gonna see the inside. There's always gonna be shadows. So as long as you have like a general like skin tone, like what I have right there, that's usually enough. Okay, so let's do the color of the lips. We're missing that, and I do want to add a little bit of color to the eyes. So as always with reference, right? So if we look for female portrait, no makeup. Right now it's very important that we don't use any makeup. You're gonna see that usually on the eyes we have a little bit more of this sort of like reddish darkish brown color on the inside of the eyes, right? So I want to incorporate a little bit of that color. I'm gonna go here, add a little bit of a brownish color, add a black mask, and this is where I would paint. Someone asked this great question a couple of seconds ago. I don't usually use paint layers because I like to keep things as procedural as possible, unless I'm doing like a tattoo or something like that. But for this kind of stuff, I find it easier to use a fill layer, and then on that fill layer, that's where I would add the paint layer. So yes, we're going to be doing the paint, but it's going to be inside the fill layer. So right click, paint layer, and that's where we paint. I'm going to use something like the which one? Dirt spots is a good one. Now let's actually use a soft brush. Fur soft. I don't really want fur. Maybe we can just use the basic soft for now. So we're gonna add a little bit of this brown shadow on the eyes. There you go. And then of course we find a blending mode that works. Overlay is probably gonna work. Awesome. And we just tone this down, right? So we add a little bit of that like shadow to the eyes, and it's gonna give me more depth. And then the lips, for the lips, this is what I like to do for the lips. Oh my god, I need to go get some water. I'm gonna go for a really crazy color like this pink, and I like to use the pink color just to like paint my lips very quickly. I'm gonna switch to my tablet. Let's paint the lips very quickly there. There we go. There we go. All of that. And the reason why I like to use a bright color is just to be able to see where the color is. Not really because this is going to be the color that we're going to be using. And eventually, again, when we do the makeup, we're gonna have other types of like color lipstick, right? Hey, the Gabs! Happy New Year, my friend! Happy New Year! Okay, so once I have that color, now it's a lot easier to go back to my layer, to the fill layer, right? And change the color. Usually for lip colors, you're gonna use the same color of the skin, a little bit more saturated and a little bit darker. That's, again, like as you can see, I didn't really move that far away from the tone, and you're gonna see that the skin tone that we have in our lips, on the inside of our mouth, and on all of that stuff, it's very simple. This one, I will still set this to something like an overlay or like a multiply. Why? Because I want to make sure that we get the tones from underneath it. Let's try multiply, and of course, like lower the opacity. So you want to have a little bit of a difference, but it shouldn't be too much. Again, we're not doing makeup just yet, so this is just like a very basic variation that we want to have for the characters. So something like that should work. It feels a little bit too warm. I'm gonna play with the hues a little bit there as well too, just to get a little bit of a different effect. There we go. That looks fine. How did you make the pores on the neck? Did you recreate the realistic pores or just added some random noise? So the color is, or there's a lot of information on the color map, right? So all of that is just color information. But there are some pores on the normal map. You can see them right there. And for this character inside of ZBrush, I used like some really, like I believe some of the XYZ alphas to get like this very nice realistic like texture. So yeah, all of this is sculpted detail, and we're just bringing that into the bakes to our element. Hi Yamete, what's up, my friend? Oh, welcome. Okay, so this is it. We are. Do you do anything with subsurface? Yeah, we have subsurface scattering. We did that here. So this is the subsurface scattering map, my friend. Crowley. Is that the name from the guy from Supernatural? That was a good series. So yeah, this fill layer right here, this is bringing in the true subsurface scattering that we're using. We are using the shaders here, and we are using subsurface scattering parameters. So we have true subsurface scattering working right now, and it's this layer right here. Nice. Alligator, thank you for the follow. We got a lot of follows. Let me just go. It's bad example. Tecito, Tofu Senshi. Sometimes I make art. Crowley, Omega Cool, Lady Cordelia. Cordelia's another great name. There's a very. You guys played Fire Emblem? If you guys have not played Fire Emblem, you should. It's a great game. And if you did not play Fire Emblem Awakening, you should. And there's a character there named Cordelia. Very cool character. It's like this badass like knight. I think she's like a Pegasus knight. Pretty cool. Yeah, Fire Emblem Awakening is one of my favorite games. So let's see. Yeah, I really like the. I was like 14 years old when I was watching Supernatural. I was in high school. Really loved that one. Really cool show. Anyway, so now we are gonna jump, and this is where we're probably gonna be finishing our stream in a little bit. But now we're gonna jump to the next stage, which is the roughness stage, and this is one of the most important stages. A lot of people like don't pay enough attention to this stage, and it drives me crazy because it's one of the most important like stages to really make your character look as realistic as possible. So if we press the letter C and we go to the different channels and we go to, what the hell is that channel? Oh, it's a mask channel. If we press the letter C and we go to the roughness channel, I want you to tell me something. What do you see here on the roughness channel, my friends? What do you see here? We are probably the same age. I'm currently 33. I'm gonna be 34 this year. So what do you guys see on this roughness channel? What's the problem with this roughness channel that we have here with the skin? Exactly, Damsdeldrenon. There's no variation. It's exactly the same. It's 50% everywhere. So it's a uniform roughness channel, and our skin is not uniform. We have different areas where things are a little bit more glossy, areas where things are a little bit less glossy, and there's going to be changes pretty much everywhere. Now, this I do like to keep in a different like folder, so I'm going to do this in a different folder. I'm going to just press Ctrl G. I'm going to call this roughness, and this is where I'm going to be controlling the roughness of my skin. Now, I'm going to keep it relatively simple. This is what I like to do. It's a little bit of a cheap trick, but it works quite nice. I'm gonna look for the skin material that we have here inside of substance. I'm just gonna drop it right here, and if we go to the options, I can change, of course, this to triplanar projection, so we don't get any seams, and we can just change the tiling so we get like a very small tiling. Let's say something like 15. Now, don't worry, I'm not gonna just like leave this and call it a day. This is just my basic sort of like breakpoint or my starting point for my roughness. So as you can see, that already is gonna help me break something up. Of course, on this one, I'm gonna turn off color, I'm gonna turn off height, I'm gonna turn off metal, I'm gonna turn off scattering. I just wanna be using roughness. And what that will do, hopefully you guys can see, it's already breaking up the roughness of the skin, and it's already making it look a little bit more interesting. Instead of having this uniform approach, we're just gonna have something that's gonna be, again, breaking a little bit. Again, this is what we have right now. Now we start building our roughness. The other reason why I like using this is because I'm going to be using this as my main controller on the base level of roughness that I want my skin to be. So if I want my skin to be a little bit less rough, which I actually do want, I'm going to set this to like 0.55. I usually leave my skin at 0.55. So that I feel it's a good amount because it looks, you know, like wet enough or rough or shiny enough, but not like super intense. Might be a little bit too much though. Let's try 0.58 for now. So the global control of my roughness is going to be right here on the skin human flat like base layer. Now, the first layer that I add is another fill layer. Again, this is only going to be using roughness. This is going to be a very rough layer because this is going to be the pores. I want the pores to be drier, right? Or not as shiny, not as intense as everything else. So this one right here, I'm going to add a black mask. And on this black mask, I'm going to add a fill layer. And on this fill layer, again, I'm going to bring in my curvature. It's always important to check what the mask is doing. Remember, you can press Alt and click on the mask to see what's happening. And this is what's happening. So right now, we have the opposite of what we want. So I'm going to right click, add a levels, and I'm going to invert this. So now all of the crevices, all of the wrinkles, all of the pores are lighter, right, than everything else. And this is the important part. We need to jump to the roughness channel over here, and we also need to start blending these things because right now this roughness is pretty much just replacing the other roughness that we have right here. 1 second for this to load. Okay, why is this not loading? Oh, well, because this, no, it should be loading. That's really weird. Anyway, I'm just going to set this to something like a linear dodge, for instance, on the roughness channel. Are we on the roughness? No, we're not on the roughness. There we go. That's why it was not changing. So we go to the roughness channel right here. There we go. And we turn this off. This is the skin. When we turn this on, we need to add this thing to the other one right here. And of course, I can play here with the opacity. So see how we can still see a little bit of the underlying layer of this skin human flat, but we're not breaking it with this cavity one to get a little bit more variation. You can especially see it right here. Without this, all of that is very general, very sort of like uniform. By incorporating this one, we're breaking that up and we're adding a little bit more of that roughness on the lower sections of the element. And that's going to start giving us the very nice realistic effect on the skin. Will the stream be available somewhere to watch later? Yes, I believe Twitch does it automatically, so there should be like the BOD, but it's going to be on our YouTube channel as well. So make sure to jump to our YouTube. Help us with a subscription. That would be really handy because we're going to be one of the very few 3D channels that gets to 100K. Like 3D is a relatively small niche, right? Especially talking about YouTube. And there are, of course, some really big 3D channels, like the Flip Normal channels. Blender Guru, of course, is another one. But very few channels get to 100K. So hopefully, with your help, guys, we're going to get there. Let's see. Substance is just for preview to work on the color. SSS is made in the engine. You just make the thickness map. Yeah. So what we're doing here with the subsurface is we're getting the general idea of how it's going to look. But we're eventually going to be... we're eventually going to have it on the engine. Now, once we have this, as you can see, we have a very nice, if we go to the roughness shell, we already have a very nice base, but now we need to bring in the elements or the parts of the character where things are going to be a little bit more shiny, right? Like where they're going to have a little bit more oil. For instance, the nose, a little bit on the forehead, maybe here on the cheekbones, the ears. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add another layer. Let's call this layer like dry or like pores. And this layer right here, we're also going to set this to roughness. It's going to be a low roughness like this one. That's perfect. I'm going to add a black mask. And this is where I do think that a metal edgeware works very nicely. So I'm going to add a generator and we're going to add a metal edgeware. Why? Because this is going to hit the high points of our element. And as you can see, we're going to get a lot of like very interesting roughness on the high points of the element, right? So right there. Now I'm going to do a couple of little tricks right here to make this look a little bit better. The problem with this one is I do feel it's a little bit too strong. So I'm going to decrease the contrast so that it's a little bit softer. That's the first one. We could even right click and add a filter. And we can add a very small blur. Very small. Don't do this. This is way too much. So I would do something like maybe 0.2. Like very, very simple, like blur right here. And then, similar to what we talked about before, we can blend this. Let's set this to something like an overlay. And look at that. When we set this to an overlay, what we're doing is we're bringing back some of the previous layers. Remember, that's the super important thing about blending modes, right? Like the fact that they're playing with each other and they're interacting with each other. If we set this to normal, which is what a lot of people do, this is just sitting on top of everything else. And it just looks very fake, very like obvious, like a plaster. So we do need to do or look for a specific blending mode that helps us get that like nice shyness, but keep all of the other details that we already had before. So if we go now here, look at that. So this layer right here is bringing a little bit of that glossiness, especially there on the eyelids. Look at how nice the eyelids look, right? It's very common. We're also getting a little bit on the mouth, right? So look at that right there. And the cool thing is, again, this is all procedural. So if I want more of that glossiness, I can just push this in a little bit more, and it's going to look even more glossy. But we still keep most of the other stuff available to us. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the roughness. Of course, we can add more roughness later on, but I think this is a really good process. Trying to think if there's anything else I want to add before we do. Control S, please. Yeah. Yeah, just hit Control S. Let's just do one more Control S before anything bad happens. I want to play this back at 1/10 of the speed. I might keep up such a yeah. It's again, we covered most of this stuff on the Substance Painter course, and that's structured in a more like traditional learning path approach. This is a little bit more free form or free flow stuff, but yeah, it's a really, really cool thing here. There we go. Not freaking bad. I think this is one of the best skins that I've ever done, to be honest. Abe, how to bake B-face textures onto custom character face with UDIMs? I don't use B-face as much. If you mean like the pre ones or the pre-created ones, like this one's right here, right? Like this is a face that was like taken with a scan. So what you need to do is you need to like tweak it around, move it around. I don't enjoy the process, to be honest, but it's something that you can do. What do you think about the texture painting in Maya? Is that no? Why are you texture painting in Maya? No, absolutely not. Like the only texture paint that I do in Maya is when I'm painting masks for like XGen, and it's just black and white masks. Like that's it. There's absolutely no reason why you should be doing that. Can we blur the lip edges a little bit? Yes, of course. So one of the things that you can do, remember, this is all procedural, right? So we have this blur right here. If we take a look at the mask, this is what we have on the mask. If you want, we can go in here, add a paint layer, for instance, and I'm gonna do like a black color. And if I wanna get rid of some of that, I can just delete, or I can just like smooth out or whatever. Like for instance here, what I would do is this. I would go for like a very, very soft brush. Oh, very, very soft brush. There we go. And I would add a little bit of black here. And then this is also a layer that we can play with opacity. So we can try like smooth that opacity down and remove a little bit of that glossiness on the lips. So yeah, all of this is something that you can change and adjust. And you can have as many layers as you want. You can definitely tell that my computer is getting a little bit laggy now. And the reason why it's getting laggy is because we're working at 4K and I'm of course streaming and doing everything. And we have a bunch of layers. The more layers you get, the like slower everything gets. Even though I have like a strong like graphics card, still something that you need to take into account. Let me go here. I'm just gonna remove the intersection. There we go. That way we can see the face normally. Okay, so now we're gonna jump into a couple of extra things that I want to add, and this is where we can start adding a little bit more variation. This is where we can break symmetry, and we can start thinking about like the actual character, right? Things like cuts, tattoos, a little bit of makeup, a little bit of like something, right? So I'm going to start by adding a little bit of variation to the skin. And I'm going to show you a very sort of like non-orthodox way of doing this, which is by using random materials. I really like the sort of like Bob Ross approach of just happy little accidents and just see what sticks. So for instance, I have this material right here that I really like. It's called chrome plated rusty or something. It's really good when we're doing like hard surface stuff, but as you can see, it has a lot of like interesting like spots and textures and things. Like it's just like cool. So I'm gonna remove metalness, and as you can see, we're gonna get even like other types of colors. We can increase the tiling here a little bit to get like random elements. And again, let's just try looking for an interesting like effect here. For instance, overlay. Of course, let's go to the color map. There we go. And we're going to set this to overlay. And what this will do is it will introduce a lot of variation to the skin, right? It's not going to be like anything like art director right now. It's just random stuff. But if we bring this down, one of the things that you're going to see is that we can start incorporating a lot of like interesting like changes on the tones, on the elements. It might not be exactly what we want to go for right now, or it might be too intense or too noisy. That's fine. But the cool thing is that we can always, again, play with some of these values, and it's just like extra variation, right? Like it's just something that that's going to create this like complicated or complex layers. My first character, realistic character, is painting in ZBrush. Mine too, my friend. Mine too. Want me to show you? I did this like 14 years ago, 13 years ago. Where is it? Here, this guy. So this is Door, actually, the character that got a second life a couple of years ago with the Substance Painter course. I did this 11 years ago, and this was all purely polypaint, just polypaint inside of ZBrush. And then I did like render passes with like the different like filters, and then brought it into Photoshop and did this like little illustration right here. You can see I've been using that logo for a long time now. And yeah, this was my first realistic character. I was really happy with it. Again, 11 years ago. Now I see it as like, oh no, no longer there, right? Now I know all of this information, and of course we can make it a lot more interesting. I really like freckles, so I think I'm gonna add some freckles here. I'm gonna add a black layer, get another fill layer. Let's call this freckles. And then we're going to add some like dark makeup, because again, this is supposed to be like an evil character. So I'm going to add a black mask right here. This freckles, of course, let's do like a roughness. And at this point, this is very important. Now that we have all of the base skin set up and everything, now we can start incorporating other elements in here. So for instance, if these freckles are going to be like moles or something, we can make them, we can keep roughness on, and we can play with some of the roughness as well. Okay. So let's see. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna add a paint layer. I'm gonna go to my brushes. I'm gonna go to my dirt.erase brushes. There we go. I'm gonna keep them simple. And oh, they're way too big. So let's make it smaller. There we go. We're just gonna add a little bit of freckles right here. And again, now, as you guys can probably see, we're no longer working with symmetry. So I'm gonna have to do this on both sides. But this is very good, because now the character is going to start looking a lot more unique because of this. I'm going to add a little bit of a bigger freckles on the center of her face. And then smaller freckles as we go out. Now, if she has freckles there, I would expect her to have a little bit of freckles. Now I'm going to turn on symmetry. And I would expect her to have a little bit of freckles on the skin down here, on the back. It's very, very common to get like a little bit of spots over on this side. Again, don't forget to rotate your light around. Do we use the same process for texturing? Yes and no. You're gonna use it, but you're not gonna be as sharp with the details as what we have right here. And a lot of the Pixar characters, they have to deal or they have a little bit more like what's the word? Like shader work with them rather than texturing work. So it's something that you're going to be dealing with in the engine, in this case RenderMan. If you haven't tried RenderMan, you can download it, by the way. Back in the day, I used to work with it quite a bit. Like in 2017 and 2018, we did a couple of projects with RenderMan. It was cool. It's a good render engine. It's a little bit technical on some parts, but it's really nice. It's quite fast. And I believe they now introduced something called XPU, where you're using both the GPU and the CPU to render. So you should be getting like faster times. There you go. Now, of course, again, this one's we're gonna set something like overlay, and we're gonna play a little bit with the opacity to blend them with the rest of the character. Have you used Octane? I used it a little bit, but I haven't really used it. I heard that it's free for Blender, right? Like you can use it on Blender completely for free. I need to try that one. Crimson, thanks for the follow, as well as Niosi-kun and Hosties. I'm not sure if I mentioned you guys, but thank you. Thank you for the follow. After export texture in 4K in PNG with 8-bit, my file size is only 60 megabytes, one tile. Why? That's about right. A 4K map is, I mean, that's actually a little bit big. But that's about right. We can try that in just a second. We can try exporting some of the textures. But now let's go for the makeup. And for the makeup, we're definitely going to need something like evil, like maybe gothic. There was this... What's the name of this character? I mean, Jennifer from The Witcher kind of has that. It's cool. Let's look for dark makeup. Let's see what do we get. I kind of want to go for something like this. Oh, you know what? Where was it? Was in freaking Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange. Caecilius, which was Matt Milkinson. Yo, yes. Should we do that? Oh, that's a trick. It's not like super difficult, but it's a really interesting one. Should we do something like that, guys? It requires other what's the word? Other methods, because now this is like rock, so we need to start like incorporating a little bit of rock, but I think that's gonna look cool. So let me copy this image. Let's get PureRef. And let's bring it here. Okay, I know it's very pixelated. We should get a better one. This one's a little bit better. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Okay, that should be good enough. Okay, so what we're gonna have to do here now is we're gonna have to create the rock element. So we are gonna need a rock material. Rock. And I do have some cool ones. I got that mudstone. Got this dry beach. I think this one looks interesting. Let's drop it here. Hopefully this doesn't crash my computer. You guys are really pushing me to do some really cool things here, which is great. Okay, there we go. Very important, the tiling. Tiling. Let's increase the tiling so we get something that looks interesting, like that. And of course, we're gonna add a black mask. And let's go for a brush. I'm gonna grab the dirt too. Now this has normal map, doesn't it? Let's turn on the height. There we go. Now the only problem is that we're definitely running into a little bit of an issue with the, what's the word? Texel density, right? Like we're getting into really low texel densities. Like a 4K map's not gonna be enough to get us all of the detail that we might want to have for this particular character. But let's try. Let's see how much we can push it. Of course, we're gonna try some sort of like overlay. I'm not sure. Let's remove some of this from the eyes. We're gonna paint the eyes with other color later, because I really want to see the border of the eyes. There we go. Yeah, that's a little bit better. I'm not entirely sold on the material, to be honest. Let's try with another one. So the cool thing is, if we have this right here, we can just look for another rock. For instance, let's try that mudstone that we have right here instead of the dry beach one, and let's see how this looks. Should people use ArtStation Pro for using it as their portfolio? I've never used ArtStation Pro, to be honest. Like, I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad idea. Oh yeah, this looks definitely better. But I've never paid for it, to be honest, and I've still gotten leads and contacts and offers. So yes, I've saved. Now, in this case, we're not going to use overlay. Let's keep it. Actually, can we do multiply? Let's do multiply. Let's change the color of the stone. Like that whitish stone right there. Another color here. Okay, yeah, that's better. That's much better. And it's blending a lot better as well with the skin. Let me try the tiling here. Should have something like that. We could potentially use this placement, but I don't want to make it super complex, to be honest. Now let's just blend it softly. There we go. Yeah, this is looking nice. I'm not sure if I want to keep it at multiply. Overlay. No, multiply was working fine. So it looks like skin, like scars, right? I like that. And we can add a little bit of color in just a second. Should people use ArtStation? No, I already answered that question. There we go. Okay, so just keep adding a little bit here. Okay, and now we're gonna add the makeup. So I'm gonna add this probably underneath those rocks. I'm gonna add a new layer. There's gonna be a like deep purple layer. I am gonna turn on metallic on this one. I think that's gonna look interesting. I'm gonna turn on metallic. I'm gonna add a black mask. And for this one, we definitely want a soft brush. We're gonna add like the highlight there. Like smoky eyes. We're going for this like smoky eyes effect. So you can hopefully imagine how this is gonna look later on, right? Yeah, exactly, like a witch. We do need the eyes. Why do we not have the eyes? I was sure we had the eyes. This would be a point where having the eyes might not be a bad idea. Below. Oh, they're here. What the hell? Why are they there? Let me just export this again. Hopefully this doesn't break the project. Okay, let's save the project before this. So Control S. And now I'm gonna file, export this again here. And technically, I should be able to just say edit and then re-import mesh. And everything should load perfectly fine. There you go. Yeah, because in this case, having the eyes definitely helps to get an idea of the depth that we're pushing in this particular case. Of course, we are missing the eyelashes and all that stuff, but I like this one. There we go. Here. How do you hide mesh in Substance? So if there are different texture sets, like in this case, the eyes are one texture set, the earrings that I have are a different texture set, and then the skin is a different texture set, I can go here to the texture set list and just click on this guys right here. But there's another way to hide meshes. I did a short a couple of like years ago. So blue. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it a little bit more blue. I like that. And again, I usually like to play with some sort of like multiply. No, in this case, I think I'm gonna leave it normal, but I am gonna let's multiply. But I'm gonna set this to like I'm gonna lower the opacity a little bit. There you go, so that we can still see a little bit of the skin tones. I like that sort of like dark purplish effect. There you go, not bad. Now I've seen some like makeup tutorials where they add a little bit of a highlight at the center or like here. I think that might look interesting. So I'm gonna duplicate this. I'm gonna add a black mask. I do have symmetry turned on. So what if we add a little bit of a detail here? Like a graphical motif, right? Again, this is the exploration like section of things. We're gonna change the color in just a second, don't worry. Something like that. What about gold? I think gold might look interesting. There we go. Yeah, purple and yellow. They're complementary colors, right? So they always help. Like a tear? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I want to do a tear. I do want to have the same color on her lipstick though, so let's go over here and give her some lipstick here. There's a very famous, or there was a very famous Mexican makeup YouTuber. Her name was Yuya. And Yuya had some really cool tutorials. I remember back in the day when I was learning about all of this, I would watch her tutorials on how to do like real makeup to incorporate that into my characters. There we go. And now this one, again, this is a very common one that I've seen people do quite a bit now, where they add like a little bit of a line here. Yeah, I think she's got... Yeah, she's very famous. Here in Mexico, she's very famous. But she doesn't do YouTube anymore. You know what? She's reminding me a little bit, which is not a bad thing, by the way, but she's reminding me a little bit of the Planeswalker from Magic. What's her name? Anyone knows her name? She's purple. She uses like a lot of purple motifs. It's not Morgana. It's not Morgana, right? Morgana is the one from League of Legends, which she's also reminding me a little bit of, which again, it's not a bad thing because that's the idea. What's the name of the character in... Oh no. Okay, now, what else do we add? What else can we add? I really like the tier, like, so maybe you guys were right. Maybe we do add a little bit more of this, like, gold effect following from her stuff. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Liliana, yeah? Right, yeah, Liliana. I think that's right, Liliana. I'm not sure why I cannot make my brush even smaller. There we go. Yeah, it's Ileana. Very cool character as well. I used to play a little bit of Magic again back in the day. I like playing white and green. White and green. And this is where we can spend a lot of time just making sure this looks as cool and as interesting as possible. I think I'm going to change the tone of the gold just a little bit in just a second. But I like it. I like how this is looking. What do you guys think? Not bad, right? Es en Leclerc Kadir. I'm not sure what that means. She reminds me more of LeBlanc from yeah, also LeBlanc. Yeah, that's a good comparison. I think I'm gonna go a little bit more like bronze, just a tad bit. Sharpen that line a little bit right there. Should we continue this line? A little bit. Nah, it looks weird. Let's erase that. Okay, what else? What else can we do here? See, I like the rocks that we have here, but I'm gonna see if I can rotate them a little bit. I'm gonna make them go from top to bottom. That should help a little bit more with the general details. And I think I'm gonna change some of the colors here. I don't know, I kind of want to give them, yeah, like a little bit of a darker tone to really make them look like scars, right? Something like that. Halil, what's up, my friend? What's changed in the last 6 months? So that's a tough question, man. I'm not sure what you mean. I mean, we've done a lot of stuff. Last 6 months, we got the collaboration with Substance. We got live streams. We got, I think that was a hand-painted course last year. Yeah, we've done quite a bit of stuff, man. Happy to see you back. Like a molten lava spill. Yeah. I think I'm gonna use or push this a little bit more towards the center. Looks a little bit too contained. There we go. Yeah, that's right. That's an important one. Like, you never want to have things just like containing a single element. Should we add like more scars? Nah, it's way too much. Let's keep it simple. Let's keep it simple. Have I tried Instamat? No, I don't think I've tried Instamat. I tried another one, but I was not really super happy with it, to be honest. The other thing that I wanted to do was tattoos on this girl. So let's do another layer here. black mask. Let's go for some. I'm a huge fan of like geometrical like shapes. And shapes that follow like the contour of the character. I'm gonna turn off symmetry. I'm just gonna start adding some, you know, like rune-like thingies here on the neck. Turn symmetry again. We're polishing a little bit of this. And then, of course, this one is eventually going to be a different color. Let's go for like I like bluish colors. So let's go for like a cool color here. And that's what we've said before. We're going to overlay this. Or in this case, multiply. Probably introduce a little bit more saturation so that we can actually see some of the color. And then push it down. Yeah, we're gonna keep it simple. We don't wanna overdo it because we wanna keep the attention to her or on her. So they're gonna be maybe an important part of the backstory or something, but again, not too much. I do want to add some cuts. I know they might be a little bit too much, but let's try it. So I'm gonna do here's a very easy way to add cuts to your character. Create a new layer, set the color to a dark red color, turn on the height. And push height down a little bit, just a little bit. Turn roughness. Roughness is good for this one. But this one, keep it like relatively high, not super high. And then we're gonna add a black mask, and we're gonna set this layer to overlay. If you do that, and you add a paint layer here, we can actually use some of the new tools. Have you guys seen the new like path tools that we have? So there's a new path tool here. That has organic. There we go. Like no, that's bandage grunge. Yeah, we have this like crack rock, or even this crack. Yeah, like this crack rock might work. And the way this is gonna work is we can add this like stitches, right? Like this. So it's gonna look like a little bit like Frankenstein. And the cool thing about this is they're actually pushing in right into the scene, and we're getting some like nice details. So I think the mouth ones are maybe a little bit too much, but I like those on the top. So yeah, I'm probably gonna be changing the iris color of the eye a little bit more. This is normal base. Like right now, because I'm using hide information, it is pushing the information into the scalp. So it is doing it. And the cool thing is this is like procedural, right? So if I need to move these points around and change the direction a little bit, I can do that relatively quickly, like that. I don't know. Now I'm kind of tempted to make her like a Frankenstein character and that like cuts everywhere. That might be interesting. Like a necromancer, right? She was brought back to life. That could be interesting. But I think that those two lines right there are more than enough. It's not a new brush. It's a new tool called the path tool. Well, it's not new. The path tool has been here for a long time, but they now have introduced this thing called the ribbon path tool. I have a video about it on the channel here on YouTube if you want to check it out. I explain how that works, and it's really good because as you can see, it's here. What character course should I pair with the anatomy course? I'm aiming to learn more about ZBrush. That's a great question, not bullying. So if you want to learn more about ZBrush, the best course that we have, it's like one of our best-selling courses is this one right here, the ZBrush Stylized Character course. Everyone has done the Oni character right here by Max Slapsky. That was his concept, and it's a really good course. I think it's gonna teach you all of the necessary things that you need for ZBrush. We go through the whole thing here. Yeah, like a beheaded. Should we behead her? I think we should. I think we should. Let's do it. I'm gonna add a new paint layer here. That way I can keep them as separate elements. I'm gonna turn off this thing, and I do want to have this thing be a little bit asymmetrical. So I'm just gonna go around her neck. There we go. Yeah, so maybe she got killed and brought back to life or something, and she carries her her wounds with pride, right? Like she's like, I don't care, you killed me once, I'm now gonna kill you. And yeah, this is it, guys. I think this is it. Because if we start adding more stuff, it's just going to be way too much. Like, I'm even tempted to just remove the tattoos. I feel like it sort of like dirties up the whole thing. So I'm just going to remove them. Like, I really like the character like this. Like, very, like, maybe she was very, very well presented. Like, very clean. Very, like, I don't know, she was a queen or something like that. And she got killed. And now she's angry. And she's coming back for revenge. Yeah, we can always like, come up with, like, interesting things. Stitches. Yeah, so here's the cool thing. If I go here to the ribbon path tool, right now we added this one, right? But if I go again back to the path tool here, hey, show UI, there we go. We can just go here and we have the parallel ones, and for instance we have stitches. So we have this seam puckering fabric, right? So I can do that right there, and it's going to change it. So now instead of using the rocks ones that we were using, it's using this like stitches right there. And there's a bunch of them. For instance, we can use even this top stitch straight, right? And now it's going to be like a top stitch. And then if we select that, there's an option to change the top stitch to another one. I did like the other one though, like this cracks that we have, the crack rock. I think it was looking quite fine. But technically you can change that right there. Let's see, when making a character like this, do you darken the top part of the skull for the AO of the haircuts? Oh, that's a great question. Yes, so if she's eventually gonna have haircuts or some sort of like hair, it is a good idea to darken it, but I'm not gonna darken it with just AO. Let me show you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna add a new fill layer, and I'm gonna go for like a greenish, darkish hue, something like this. I'm gonna add a paint mask. Let's go with our paintbrush. Definitely turn on symmetry here. And I'm going to map out where the hair is gonna be. And usually with a soft brush. Soft brush here. So I'm gonna map all of the area where I would expect the head to be, or the hair to be. So all of the hairline right here. All of this right here. It's kind of like creating the shadow that the hair is going to be projecting on the character, right? Doesn't have to be perfect. We can always come back and adjust it. That's why we're doing this on a fill layer, right? But the better you can get this, the better. Or the closer you can get it, the better. Something like this. Hey, Rudy, what's up, my friend? Hello, hello. So we're gonna do all of this thing right here. Remember that on the back of the hair, there's usually a couple of extra, like little, like flyaways happening. So you can always sort of like soften that up. There we go. We have that's what we normally refer to as the hair cap, right? It's close to where we would expect the hair cap to be. But what we can do here, this is the fun part. Yeah, a little bit of the, usually a little bit more hair right here. A little bit more here. You can even add the eyebrows in this one. So why is it not working? What's happening? What happened here? Oh, I changed the brush, sorry. I'm gonna add a little bit on the eyebrows there. Not too much. Actually, no, I'm not gonna add the eyebrows. So what I'm gonna do here is I am going to add a fill layer. I'm gonna add the purling noise that we've used before. Purling noise right here, something like this. Make sure this is set to triplanar projection so that we don't get any weird elements. And I'm gonna tile this a lot. A lot. And then we can play a little bit with the balance. And we're gonna multiply this. Now, as you can see, we get the little sort of like like hair pores of the character, right? Like the little like blending effect. And of course, we're gonna set this to something like an overlay, or in this case, multiply. And we're gonna lower the opacity. So that's gonna give us the sort of like basic shadow of where the hair is eventually going to be. And the cool thing is this is a layer, so I can export the textures without the layer, and I can export the textures with the layer if I need to, and use this as a guide to start like placing everything else. Okay. Any questions so far, my friends? Oh my god, what did I close? I closed the music. Hopefully I didn't close the ZBrush. Or sorry, YouTube. Did we just lose YouTube stream? 1 second. Don't die, my friends. I'm here. I am here. YouTube. I don't think it's gone because the stream's still up on the OBS, but I'm just not seeing the chat anymore. No, we're live. We're live. Okay. We're live. There we go. So yeah, my friends, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed today's thing. Just as a quick heads up, like this is pretty much where we started. Let me show you. Let's see if I can. Oh no, I can't. I can hide everything. The hide information is still there. Actually, maybe I can't. There we go. So this is where we started with just a very basic like skin tone at the beginning of the stream, right? Of course, we did the UVs. We did it's a little bit of a masterclass, if I may say so myself. And this is where we ended up, right? Like with all of the complexity of the skin, very nice thing. I think this could look very, very nice inside of a game. Like I'm of course gonna be adding a couple of more things and a couple more elements, but I really like the general sort of like result that we were able to get. And yeah, I think my students are really gonna enjoy working with this one once they get the hands on the project. So that's pretty much it. What's my ArtStation account name? I'm in ArtStation. It's this one right here. You can look me up as Abraham Leal. So Abraham Leal. This is my ArtStation. You can see some of my stuff, all of the stuff that I've done throughout the years. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Some normal or bump on the scalp. I wouldn't really do it, to be honest, because it's gonna eventually, like, this is probably gonna be covered by hair. So yeah, it's not something that we're gonna be seeing too much of. So yeah. There we go, my friends. If you are new here, I know we had this amazing raid at the middle of the stream. So if you're new here, we stream pretty much every single Friday, roughly at 9 a.m. and until we finish the project. We're happy with the result. We also have videos every Wednesday on our YouTube channel. The next one's gonna be pretty cool. I think you guys are gonna enjoy it. And we have courses. We have an amazing Discord community, one of the biggest ones on the 3D world, if I may say so as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you very much, my friends, for being here. Thank you for the questions. That's it's always cool to see you guys. I'm gonna continue working on some other stuff here. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. You can send me a DM on Discord. You can leave comments here, of course, on YouTube. And that's pretty much it. I'll see you back on the next one, my friends. Have a great weekend. Bye bye, and don't forget, always learning, always improving. Bye bye.